Welcome back to the Prairie View Cricket Complex for semifinal number 2 between the Stallions X and the Houston Stars. Brian Walters and eventually Munir Majid will be with you. The Houston Stars won the toss and elected to bowl. They handed the ball to their brilliant all-rounder from South Africa, Justin Dill. 5 deliveries into the innings so far. The score is 2 without loss. The openers for the Stallions X are Captain Shayan Jahangir and the imposing Cameron Sheikh. Should be the last delivery here in the first. This ball is forced down to mid-on for no run. My apologies, that was the 4th delivery. So one more delivery to be bowled in the first. 2 without loss is the score. If you were with us earlier, you saw an absolutely scintillating first semifinal, and I tell you, if this match is anything close to what that one was, full of strategy, full of just every type of emotion that you can imagine, that came down to the wire and ended on the last ball being crashed away through backward point for 4 to give the UMMC Knight Riders the victory by 4 wickets. I don't know that this game has that type of drama in it. Stick around with us for the next several hours and we'll see if that's the case. And the last delivery of the first, just defended by Shayan Jahangir. That concludes the first over. A very sedate first over by comparison. The score is 2 without loss. And I'll tell you, just looking at the way that the first match played itself out, we thought that this pitch looked like something around a 150, 160 pitch. And so we certainly thought that the first inning score was undercooked. But we also made the point in commentary that this is the semifinals. And so 140 runs in the semifinals can very much seem like 180 or 190 in the group stages, because you grip that bat a little bit tighter, the ball comes out different as a bowler. There's so much of a difference when you're playing those games. And so in the meantime, this is going to be, I think, an exciting match. Starting out very sedately. First over bowled by Justin Dill that just went for 2 runs. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm about to be joined in the co-pilot's chair. In fact, maybe I'm the co-pilot, and this man to my right is the pilot, Mr. Munir Majid. Good afternoon, Munir.
Good afternoon, Brian, and to everyone who's tuned in live to the stream of the semifinal number 2 of Houston Premier League 2023, powered by Turmeric. We're still recovering from the ride that was the first semifinal. Nerves are still settling in. And before we could, another semifinal comes our way between these two powerhouses. Cameron Sheikh whips this to deep mid-wicket. Wonderful effort by the fielder out there. Keeps it down to 1. And interestingly, Nosh Kenjige has come on in the batting power play. He's going to be bowling over number 2. Amir Ahmed, the Stars owner, is also captaining the side today.
Similar to the first match where you had Harmeet Singh coming on during the power play, I think to try to manufacture a wicket. The situations are completely different, obviously. Nosh Kenjige is the type of bowler who can bowl in any stage of the innings, under any conditions. So he's a very experienced bowler as far as that's concerned. I'd be interested in finding out what the thinking was that made Amir Ahmed decide to bring Nosh in the stage of the innings. Of course, you have not only Justin Dill, who is a brilliant all-rounder, but you have a genuine strike bowler in Corny Dry. So it'll be interesting to see how Corny Dry bowls, or when he bowls, because he obviously, the team decided that they were not going to use him to share the new ball with Justin Dill. I'm really interested in finding out what the reasoning is behind that, but that's something that we can look out for as we go throughout the rest of the innings.
I think, Brian, one of the most important things behind that decision could be the proceedings from the first semifinal. These captains are so miserly, so smart. They were here early. They were watching the proceedings. Spinners did really well in that first game. We remember from that first innings as Nosh comes in again. And this is lifted by Kamran Sheikh. It was pitched up and it's been dispatched over mid-off, who was inside the circle. A welcome boundary for Stallions X. So coming back to that point, Brian, we saw that opening partnership of 66 between Ramiz and Saad Ali. But as soon as the spinners came on, they put the brakes on the scoring, took a lot of wickets. That might be playing through the minds of the skippers here. But what could be worth debating is whether they get any purchase with the brand new ball. In over number 2, was it too soon of a call? Only time will tell.
Well, it's been the case on more than one occasion where we've been exposed as just commentators and decisions that the captains make on the field that we questioned eventually have proven to be right. But all else being equal, I would share the same concerns that you have, where if I have a big fast bowler, Corny Dry, I'd prefer to give him the new ball than maybe wait till the ball is a little bit older and then give it to my finger spinner. Because you're absolutely right. You'd think that you can grip it a little bit more easily if the ball is a little bit older. And this Justin Dill is worked into the sort of short fine leg area for another single. You want to, in many ways, not second guess, because the ones who are out there on the field in the middle of the conditions, having spoken to each member, what are they comfortable with? Okay, how's the ball feeling for you when you were warming up? There's so much that goes into these decisions that we were not aware of. But just from the outside looking in, I think I'd much have preferred to have my big fast bowler bowling in the first spell rather than a spinner. Gone! Look at that. That's what the fast bowler does, that ball rushing on to Cameron Sheikh, not able to get much good contact on it, and it sails really meekly and tamely to that man at short mid-wicket, who takes it gleefully. The first wicket goes down. Cameron Sheikh walking back to the pavilion after having been dismissed by Justin Dill. Score is 9 for 1.
A soft dismissal, Brian. Kamran has been in his element, played a couple of good knocks in the group stages. Just wasn't there to pull. I didn't think it rise enough on him. He was cramped. And there was a fielder positioned right at that mid-wicket. And it just fell in the bucket for him. Easy take.
It was. And just looking back at this again, the ball rushed onto him, nowhere near the type of delivery that you'd have the expansive room to be able to pull. And he just ended up forcing what effectively was a catching practice type of a catch to short mid-wicket.
And to that earlier point, Brian, that we were discussing about the choice of the new ball partnership, we've spoken through the course of this tournament that Justin Dill and Corny Dry, the new ball pair, is one of the biggest strengths that stars possess in this tournament. Add to that, throw in the pot this overcast conditions, the new ball that's definitely been doing quite a bit in this tournament. We've seen the swing last for about 4 to 5 overs, and then it could be one-way traffic. Every sign was ominous that you need to start with those two big fast bowlers. But with that said, Justin Dill, being the lone warrior right now, is still doing his job with the new ball.
I would be shocked if Nush Kenjige was given the ball to bowl the 4th over, for the reasons that we've already stated, plus because the new batter is now Shehan Jayasuriya. And I can't see, under normal circumstances, having that finger-spinning left-hander bowling to a left-handed Shehan Jayasuriya who prefers playing on the offside. Check that, on the leg side. Very strong in the arc between long on and square leg. And Nosh Kenjig, if he turns the ball, is going to be turning it in the direction that would help Shane Jayasuriya play those types of shots away on the onside. So one of those things to look at and observe as the match goes deeper. But I would have to think that Corner Dry would be coming on to bowl in over number 4.
Also said this time and again during the course of this tournament that these two are tall bowlers who like to hit the deck, and that exactly is what caused Kamran's downfall. Again, you see, just short of good length, cramps Cheyenne, rising up all the time, making him hop onto those toes. That's what you want to see with the new ball. No matter it's a T20, you got to take the bull by its horns and go after the opening batters.
Sometimes I get sort of hypnotized by the memory of West Indies teams long gone by, where you open the bowling with a pace bowler, you second change, first change are all pace bowlers, and so you can sort of get hypnotized into always thinking that pace is the way to go. I understand just objectively that sometimes a spinner makes more sense than a pace bowler, but I'll tell you that I really would have preferred to see that big pace bowler Corner Dry, who among other things is one of my favorite pace bowlers to watch in the U.S. on this minor league and hopefully soon to be major league circuit. Just one of the best fast bowlers that I've seen and somebody who I really love to watch operate.
We had a little quiz competition prediction game going on in the first game. One thing I would like to do at the end of the tournament is entice all of you to submit your teams of the tournament. And I, for now, for sure can tell you, I am putting 3 fast bowlers. The third one being an all-rounder who could come at number 6, 7 and use the long handle. But Carmi Lee Rooks is going to be one of them. I'm definitely going after one of Justin Dill and Coney Dry.
The question to be asked is, are you just looking for an out-and-out fast bowler? Or are you looking to sort of plug 2 holes with one being? If I'm looking to say, you know what, I want a fast bowler who can also bat, then I probably might go for Justin Dill. If I just want an out-and-out bowler, Corner Dry would be my choice. Now, having said all of that, we were just talking about those 2. If you ask me who the best fast bowler is that I have seen in this tournament so far, based on having observed all of the ones in action, my vote definitely goes to Carmi LaRue.
Yeah. If you all have been following the Houston Premier League on social media, when his name was announced about a couple of weeks ago, we had put out a post. We'll come back to it as Nosh has again taken the 4th over. Don't understand the strategy behind wasting the new ball, but so to say, the first ball has gone for a boundary. So Brian, coming back to that point, as soon as his name was announced, and we have this knack of looking up players and seeing what they're capable of, what we can expect at the HPL. That one is kind of an arm ball, straightens after pitching, nicely defended by Cheyenne. I saw some of his videos from the first class circle in South Africa on his YouTube channel. And that's when I went ahead and made a post on social media. And this one is squatted again. Cheyenne Jangir is liking this left arm orthodox with the new ball. It's not doing much. It's just skidding on. He wouldn't mind that. So at that time, going back to that topic, I made a post on that social media that he might as well be the fastest bowler in this tournament and arguably the bowler to watch out for. Just based on those 2 little clips I saw of him. And I'm not claiming I'm a prodigy of any sort, but it was obvious. It was front of your eyes that he is somebody who is going to impress at this level, and that's exactly what he's done with the bat and the ball today.
Well, he impressed me with the ball. It happened, of course, you know, I umpired the first day of the tournament, so I happened to be umpiring when he was bowling, and he was bowling from my end. Tremendous bowler, absolutely tremendous bowler, and I cannot imagine that there's a better option for bowler, at least pace bowler of the tournament than we've seen so far. So that ball fired down the leg side, apparently clipping the thigh on the way through, so not a wide, but also not a wicket. Good umpiring by Sadiq Koja, immediately tapping his thigh to indicate that that's what happened.
Last ball of Nosh's second over. If he does get a wicket, we will pick up our jaw from the floor. That's nicely done. 2 overs from Nosh have gone for 14. The other 2 from Justin Dill have gone for 5, and he's picked up a wicket. Also, the fact, Brian, that we know when that ball gets slightly old on the scuffed up pitch, the Prairie View pitches are not known to be those glossy, shiny wickets. They are more like a khaki porcelain surface. They're slightly roughed up. There's dead grass at the ball grips. A semi-new old ball is going to grip. And his 4 overs would have been so much consequential in those middle overs rather than using it up with the new ball. But time will tell what kind of role this little spell in the power play is going to play in the bigger context of things.
Well, interestingly, we said his name a few times, and he now has the ball, going to be bowling from the forest end. This is Corny Dry, former first-class cricketer, first-class fast bowler from South Africa, similar to Justin Dill with that qualification. And Justin Dill taking a break after having bowled 2 overs, conceding 5 runs. Corner dry around the wicket to the left-handed Shayan Jayasuriya. And immediately Jayasuriya riding the bounce from the tall fast bowler and getting that one away to third, short third for a single. So you, again, want to avoid too much second guessing, but for me, I'd prefer to have 4 overs of Nash Kenjige in maybe 6, 8, 10, and 12 than where he's already the ball the first 2. This is pulled away behind square and running away for 4. I don't mind the short delivery, but it appeared that the line on that one was going down too far down the leg side. And Shayan Jahangir pouncing all over that short delivery, and also did not get it up high enough as a short ball. When you want to bowl short as a weapon, you like that ball to be up around the shoulder blades or up around maybe the neck area. That one only got up about waist high, and Shayan Jahangir easy cashing in on that boundary.
This one's going to be a test of our alertness, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 SJs batting there, Shayan and Shehan.
Yes.
Both last names in J.
Uh-huh.
Luckily for us, there's a left and right hand combination.
Yep.
So we can call them out which one is which. But it's been quite a sedate start in spite of those 2 overs from Nosh yielding 15 runs. Against Seam, they haven't really done that well. With that boundary, Shayan Jahangir moves on to 15 of 18. Shehan Jayasuriya has just faced a couple of deliveries. So Shayan Jahangir has harnessed most of the strike as of now. He takes a little step, walks down to Coney Dry and pulls him with disdain. What a beautiful shot that was. Back-to-back boundaries for Shayan.
Definitely premeditated. Took a step down. And once again, that line is too straight from Corny Dry, looking right at his body. From that angle, right arm over the wicket, slanting inward, going towards Shayan Jahangir's body. That makes it a much easier shot to play, pulling it away over the leg side. So he gets it very fine, and that fielder, deep backward square, is not able to get to it. Coming down again, he's going to get 4 more. This time, Corner Dry found the outside edge of the bat, but he's not able to prevent that running away from that fielder at short third. So 3 consecutive 4s on the trot here for Shayan Jahangir. So Corner Dry taken out of his element by coming in first change, and it does not seem to be something that he is responding well to. 13 runs from his first over so far with still 1 ball to go.
We said Cheyenne was batting at a notch of about 60, a strike rate of 60. These 3 boundaries have put him at a strike rate in excess of 100. That's how quickly things change. And I do like this approach, Brian, of him taking a little step, maybe an exaggerated trigger movement while facing Coney dry. It's putting off the tall, fast bowler off his mark just a little bit. Although that last boundary was a lucky escape. It took the outside edge and in the absence of slip, flew in that vacant third man region. And again, he takes that little
down
step.
again. Wow.
That takes a lion's heart when you're facing a 6 feet 5 inches tall fast bowler hailing from South Africa, steaming in, and you take a step down the pitch and look to swat him over mid-wicket.
Wow.
Fortune favors the brave. Captain Cheyenne picked up 13 runs in that over. Not all of them in convincing fashion, but he'll take it. The score moves on to 32 for 1 after 5.
$32 for 1 after 5. And in many instances, the conversations off the air are so much better than the conversations on the air. Well, maybe the Houston Stars know something that we don't, because we've maintained the attack of spin coming from the highway end. This is the brilliant leg spinner Adnan Haroon, who is now taking the ball up. Nosh Kenjige with 2 overs. 14 runs coming from those 2 overs. And it's now Adnan Haroon to continue. We're still inside the power play, of course. And during the power play, as a reminder, you can only have only 2 fielders outside of the 30-yard circle. And what that means is that as a spinner, you need to be deadly accurate.
It's often very difficult for a wrist spinner, that be a leg spinner, to get his bearings right with a newish ball. But as we say, just anything is possible in cricket. You never go off a script. So in spite of all the positive criticism we have routed towards the Stars, yes, spinners could pick up a wicket or 2, and we might have our feet in our mouths. That was a close call, though. Cheyenne looking to go downtown. Mm-hmm. There was a slip, a wide gully in position, just fell shy of him as he goes again to Shehan Jayasuriya. A Chinese cut and inside edge. Wow. The 2 fielders converging behind the wicket. They won't get there.
In fact, it appears that he may just have pulled that back.
So a couple more runs.
Thank you. Shehan Jayasuriya facing up to Adnan Haroon. So in theory, Jayasiri would love facing the leg spinner. Now, Adnan Haroon not only bowls the conventional leg spinner, but is also able to bowl googlies. So I would not be surprised if he were to bowl those googlies Shahan Jayasuriya, because Jayasuriya loves playing. I've said it several times this weekend. Jayasuriya loves playing in that arc between long on and square leg. And that's where, if the ball is turning, that's the direction it would go in.
He is now, in fact, getting some purchase like we just saw. It's the sixth over, and we've seen it stop swinging after about 3 or 4.
Right.
The sun hasn't come out, so maybe it may have been swinging for a little bit more. But looking front on, it does look like it's turning just a little bit as of now, which is a good sign for the Stars.
Completely. So that is the end of the power play. 6 overs done. 37 for 1 is the score. They're scoring at the rate of 6.17 and over. I don't think they'll worry that much about this rate at which they're scoring. The issue right now is just to continue keeping the scoreboard ticking, and then hopefully, from their standpoint, building towards a crescendo at the end. 37 for 1. We'll be right back. $37 for 1 after the end of the power play. Check that. Starting the 7th over is Corner Dry. This is Corner Dry's second over. We've spoken ad nauseum about the choice to bring him in when we did, or when the captain did, so we're not. In fact, it lands in no land. Running backward from backward point was that fielder, but not able to get there in time. The ball stayed in the air for what seemed like an eternity, but ended up landing safely out of reach of any one of the players, particularly that one on the offside behind point. That's Cheyenne Jacker, who has had an enterprising start to his innings. And for some reason, it seems like he has made up his mind to attack the big fast bowler. Shahan Jahangir now 26 from 26. Bang! There he goes again, but there's a fielder down at the boundary, not able to get to it. Caught himself in no man's land. Ended up not being able to go for the catch, and also not being able to defend the ball from getting past him. So as it turns out, a lot of excitement, but yet another boundary for Shahan Jahangir. He is now raced along to 40. Make that the score has now raced along to 44. Shahan Jahangir himself up to 30 from 27. And he's treating Corner Dry with scant rudeness. Next delivery. Forced off the back foot. That's a better delivery in terms of the line. Last couple, the length has been good, but the line has been too straight going down the left. every time he's gone down the leg side, Cheyenne Jahangir has cashed in off of corner dry. But I think he's found something that he likes here. And it's up to corner dry to keep that ball out of Cheyenne Jahangir's hitting zone. Up that extra cover inside the circle. Luckily for corner dry, that was stopped because that had all the makings of a brilliant cover drive that would have gone across the ground for 4. Once again, this is the second of the semifinal. First semifinal won in succession by the UMMC Knight Riders this morning. Now in this afternoon game, Stallions X have been asked to bat by the Houston Stars. They're now up to 45 for 1. And Jayasuri just working this one behind square on the leg side. That is a single to close things out here in the 7th. So that is only 1 over past the power play. We still have another 13 overs to go. 78 balls, 78 balls for the rest of the innings. And the score is 4-6 for 1.
Like we have always said, the strength of the Stars bowling lineup is that 3-pronged spin attack and the variety it possesses in the form of left arm orthodox of Nosh, the leg spin of Adnan Haroon, and the mystery element that comes with the finger spin of Taha Sayed. Within the first 8 overs, all 3 options have been introduced. Really going spin heavy are the Stars as Taha comes in. Starts with a nice line in length. Shehan Jayasuriya has been sizing up the conditions so far. He's gone all guns blazing in the last couple of games, 8 of 8 so far. As the next delivery comes in, slightly short from Taha. He wants to get that right pretty soon. Luckily, not much damage done. Shehan Jayasuriya takes a single and brings Cheyenne Jahangir on strike. Not very windy conditions as compared to the last couple of days. There isn't a strong breeze. In fact, it's pretty steady. The temperature is still hovering in the 40s. That's what it feels like. Cheyenne taking strike to Taha Sayed. A little bit of width. Cheyenne would have liked to cut that behind point. Comes a little early into the stroke and could only knock it to cover, which cuts off the single. Nicely tossed up, and Cheyenne Jahangir goes inside out. What a shot that is. Signal 6 by umpire Sadiq Khoja. As we look at the replay of that last stroke from Cheyenne. Nicely tossed, gives him a lot of room. And Cheyenne was quick to pounce on that invitation. And similar delivery. This time Cheyenne rocks on the back foot and punches it to sweep a cover. Just a single. It's still a sedate start, although Cheyenne Jahangir has gained some momentum. 38 of 32 for him, 9 of 9 for Cheyenne Jayasuriya. Last ball of Taha's first over coming up, and he goes wide down the leg side. And that's gonna be most likely a couple. Two fielders run in and stop the boundary as over number 9 comes to an end. The score is 56 for 1.
Munir, one of the things I hated when I was playing was to be bowling in tandem with a spinner. Because as a fast bowler, you're absolutely out of breath after 6 deliveries, and so you go to fine leg to try to rest for a little bit. But if the other bowler operating in tandem with you is a spinner, he gets through his overs in about 3 minutes, and you haven't fully rested yet. Well, the commentator's equivalent of that is us trying to alternate overs where each of us is commentating while the other is eating. And that over went through so quickly that I barely had time to inhale this meal.
Your voice is, babbling. That is not good. That is not good.
Anyhow, so 56 for 1 after 9. And this appears to be Adnan Haroon, who's taking up the attack from the Forest End. Bowled 1 over so far for 9 runs. Check that, for 5 runs. Tossed up very full and driven into the covers. Quick single taken as not fielded cleanly by that fielder at extra cover. So Cheyenne Jahangir opening the batting, leading from the front as captain, and he has gotten to 39 so far. And at the fall of the first wicket, Cameron Sheikh, captain, has been joined by his Sri Lankan international partner, Cheyenne Jayasuriya. So Cheyenne Jayasuriya is an accumulator of runs. Doesn't necessarily blast from the beginning. He's able to work that ball around and score in bunches, but doesn't do it in sort of an ostentatious way. And then before you realize that he has 40 or 50 runs to his name. This is forced off the back foot. There's a sweeper out there on the offside and a single taken. And that brings the captain into the 40s. So we're almost halfway through this first innings. A very sedate start, it has to be said overall. Couple of 6s so far. But this is short and again worked well down to that fielder deep, wide, long on. Jayasuriya competent or confident enough to just continue picking up those singles. So we had a really exciting first semifinal. So far this one is shaping up to be maybe slightly less exciting, but of course we're only halfway, in fact we're only halfway through the first innings of 2. So a lot can happen for the next 2 hours and 2.5 hours or so. So stick around with us. We anticipate that this will be just as exciting, potentially, a match as we had this morning. And then if you're not doing anything, join us for the finals tomorrow, One team has already made it to the finals. That is the UMMC Knight Riders. And one of these two teams right here, either the Stallions X or the Houston Stars, will be the representative of this semifinal in tomorrow's final. So that is the end of the over. At the end of the 10th, the score is 61-1. Okay, back at Prairie View, and my apologies. In fact, I did say that we were almost halfway through the first innings. We're almost only then halfway through the 9th over. This will be the 10th over, after which we will be halfway through the inning. So my apologies for that. If I am not mistaken, looks like Unmuk Chand, who is about to bowl from the highway end. So we all know Chand, the batter, one of the most sublime and easy on the eye batters that you'll see anywhere, but now he's being asked to contribute with the ball. And this first ball is fired down the leg side, bowling to his Seattle or Silicon Valley Strikers teammate Shayan Jayasuriya. So you wonder if there's some bit of psychology going on here, where Unmukt would have said, you know what, I've seen or picked up on something in practice, and maybe I can exploit it. Certainly Unmukt Chand is not a frontline bowler, but as we've seen so far today, a couple of times you've seen where you can actually sort of extract and purchase a wicket by having a part-timer take the ball and seeing what he can produce. Unmuk Chand, former U19 captain of the Indian national team. This ball is guided to backward point for no run. Brilliant all-round cricketer. We know what he can do with the bat. If he's not batting, usually he can field anywhere on the field, and then is also an excellent keeper. And I'll tell you what, he may have to go back to keeping, because if he continues bowling those balls in the slot as he did to Shayan Jahangir, that will happen again. Shayan Jahangir does not need an invitation to play a powerful stroke. And if the ball is on a tee, which is what this last one was, Unmuk Chand is going to find out that he's not going to be able to get away with bowling those types of deliveries to Shayan Jahangir. Next ball, he goes again, and that's going to be 6 more. This one goes further, lands almost, I would say, 30 or so, maybe 25 yards past the rope at long off. And just that quickly, Shayan Jahangir has gotten to his 50 consecutive sixes here in the 10th, treating Unmuk Chand very, very rudely. Shayan Jahangir now up to 53 from 38. Flatter and quicker, lofted for the 3rd consecutive 6. Shayan Jahangir is a man on a mission, and Unmuk Chand handed the ball by Captain Amir Ahmed, and that, as of right now, is looking like that decision did not pay dividends. 18 make that 20 runs from the over so far. And that is the last delivery. What just happened? Kind of hard to follow the action, but at the end of all of that, 20 runs come from the over. Very expensive one. The most expensive over that we've seen today, actually. Unmuk Chan's first over goes for 20, and that means that after 10 overs, the score is 82 for 1. Well, 82 for 1, 20 big runs coming from that last over bowled by Unmuk Chand. And looks like it's going to be Adnan Haroon who is going to be asked to pull things back because of all the excitement in the last over. Just a tremendous amount of hitting by Cheyenne Jahangir. Adnan Haroon again, tossed up and hammered down the ground for 6 more. The captain is a man on a mission. Boy, dancing down the wicket and getting to the pitch. Adnan Haroon is a leg spinner, and so in theory would be turning the ball away from Cheyenne Jahangir, but he did not wait for it to get to the point where it was turning. Skipping right down the track and meeting it on the half volley, getting right to the pitch. And that ball ends up going into the deep in that area beyond the side screen. I think we may have a bit of a delay as that ball may be lost. That just gives us time to look back at what Cheyenne Jahangir has done so far. He has raced along to 65 from only 41 deliveries. Cheyenne Jayasuriya, the far more sedate of the partners. And that's 6 more. That may be the biggest of all of them. That is over the side screen. And unfortunately, we may have another bit of a delay. Boy, a lot of excitement all of a sudden. Cheyenne Jahangir is lighting the place afire, as we say in Jamaica. And unfortunately, there's a bit of a delay because we may need a replacement ball. That ball is sailing all over the place, and it is now being delayed because we're waiting for that ball to be retrieved. And in fact, the word now comes from umpire Owen Brown that we need the box of replacement balls because I don't think that there's any retrieving that ball. In fact, they have retrieved the ball. To see what condition it's in may be a different conversation entirely, but at minimum, this game has been delayed while Cheyenne Jahangir continues to remind us all of the magnitude of his power hitting.
So Brian, let's talk this through. Since the start of this innings, we have been discussing the preference of spin versus seam. Now, without beating the bush and getting stuck on that point, they've got 3 primary frontline spinners. That's 12 overs you're packing. You're bowling Unmuk Chand as your 4th spinner. That's over number 13. So he's potentially taking it out of that quota of Corny Dry or Justin Dill. or you don't trust your first 3 spinners to bowl their full quota of 4 each. Which one do you think it is in this case? And also, the fact that we've seen 4 spinners, but they haven't tried a third seamer. Anyone in their lineup who can come and bowl, just seam up, keep it wicket to wicket, bowl on top of that off stump. We haven't seen that kind of intent yet.
I am at a loss to explain any of that. I explained to you earlier that I am always going to default to bowling seam rather than spin. But even in the context of using your spinners as a weapon, a tactical weapon, specific to the circumstance, specific to who's on strike, there's different things that you can do to maximize the utility of your spinning attack. I do not understand the magnitude of giving the overs to all the spinners that have been given to them so far. There's a handful of people who are in the lineup who potentially could bowl seam up. Even Unmuk Chan himself, who I have seen bowl seam up before. It would be really interesting to know the thinking that sort of led to what I believe is a curious choice of bowlers so far in this match. Once again, the stipulation is that we are not on the field and there's so much going on that we might not be privy to. But 97 runs have now been scored off of 11 overs. And with 9 wickets in hand and 2 very experienced batters at the crease, one of whom is on 72 from 44 with 6 fours and 6 sixes. It remains to be seen. This is Shayan Jayasuriya. Shayan Jayasuriya likes the ball turning into him. And this is Nosh Kenjige, who is greeted very, very rudely. Again, the ball sailing over square leg for yet another 6. Boy, this is an onslaught that brings up the 103 from 11.1 overs. Nosh Kenjige, very, very brilliant bowler, but he's up against 2 batters that have full license to play as many shots as they want. This is a diving attempt. In fact, Jayasuriya hustling to get back on strike for that second run. So not only are they hitting big and going downtown with those shots, but they're also running very aggressively between the wickets. So they're accumulating runs. It was not too long ago that I said that we were being very slow and sedate. That run rate now up to 9.26. Jayasuriya working it to square leg. That's just going to be a single. But my goodness, the entirety of this innings has changed its tempo and changed its perception, because at first we thought that they were just sort of chugging along in second gear. We're fully into 5th gear mode at this stage with 3 deliveries into the 12th over and already 106 runs on the board. Struck square of the wicket, but there's protection out there in the deep. That's just a single to Shayan Jahangir. He now moves up to 73.
Also, Brian, a lot of you know that the Stallions family has got 2 teams, 2 franchises competing. With the first one crashing out, there's so much onus on the second one, the Stallions X, to bring them that coveted HPL title. And realizing the magnitude of the situation, Captain Shayan Jahangir has taken the bull by its horns, and he's taken the onus upon himself. Nosh again to...
Oh
wow, look at that. This is just one-way traffic. If there were any doubts of any demons in this pitch, these 2 have cleared it up. It's not as if the sun has come out and the pitch has transformed. It's still the same wicket on which we saw a 130-run game. They're about to breach that mark in over number 12.
Oh my goodness. A gigantic stroke again. The second six in the over by Shane Jayasuriya. And I'll tell you, whether it's Cheyenne or Cheyenne, Jayasuriya or Jahangir, that ball is sailing all over the park, and there's not a whole lot that can be done about it so far. This is outside off, too far outside off. He's going to have to re-bowl that. One ball remaining here in the 12th. Full. That's a great delivery. Very full. Pitching probably on the popping crease, but they still manufacture a run out of it. Defended into the offside, and they steal a run. So another expensive over. 18 runs coming from this over. At the end of 12, the score is 115 for 1.
So, back live as we look at the bowling card. 6 bowlers have been used. The 5 usual suspects and Unmukh Chand came on to bowl an over. He was thrown the ball again, it seemed, at the start of this over, but common sense may have prevailed. And it seems Justin Dill is going to come back, who's bowled 2 overs for just 4 runs and has taken the prize wicket of Kamran Sheikh. He's being brought on to get a breakthrough. It's getting extremely hard for us in the commentary box to keep our eyes on the action. There's a big crowd in the build-up. Our commentary box is swarmed by all the fans and well-wishers of Stallions Cricket Club. There's a little break. It looks like there's change of glove for Shehan Jayasuriya. During this little break, we'll show you a quick video about Houston Premier League. We're back live in the 13th over. Justin Dill has been brought on to perhaps get a breakthrough for Houston Stars.
Well, it's like that old meme that you see hanging in some offices. The beatings shall continue until morale improves. This beating that is taking place in front of us, I don't know if anything can stop it. Shane Jayasuriya, who plays shots all around the wicket. The first delivery was cut away behind point for 4. This next one dabbed down to deep third for a single. But they are scoring off of every delivery. It's almost as though when they score a single, it's a moral victory, because both of these batters, both of them are well set. Shehan Jayasuriya, now 38 from 21, and Shayan Jahangir 73 from 45. And he is looking especially dangerous. He, at least in part, is responsible for the game being delayed a couple of overs ago while we needed to have the ball retrieved from probably 100 yards or so away beyond the side screens. And Justin Dill is ready again, looking to see how Shayan Jahangir attacks him. Skies it in the air and again in that same direction for 6 more. This was less of a cricket shot and more of a baseball shot. Just for a second, I thought that might have come off of the edge and presented a catch, maybe even a return catch. But that ball kept traveling and once again going well over the top of long on for yet another 6. That is for Shayan Jahangir, 6, number 7. And he races along now to 79 from just 46 balls. This is truly brutal, brutal batting by Shayan Jahangir. And having been put into bat by the Houston Stars, I would think the Stallions X are very happy with where they are. And bearing in mind there's still 45 more deliveries to go in this innings. So there's every chance that that score could be somewhere north of 180, 190. Tries the scoop. Not sure why you're playing that shot when you're banging the ball all around the ground. I guess with third man and fine leg inside the circle, it's not a bad option. But you're scoring all around the ground.
As you see, Shayan Jahangir on your screen, poster boy for Stallions X, batting on 79 of 47 with 7 towering sixes already.
Just unbelievable ball striking by Shayan Jahangir. And you've known him long enough, so you know what his fitness levels are like. You know how seriously he takes his weight training. He is not necessarily the tallest guy around, probably 5'8" or so. He is powerfully built, tremendously power-packed, and hits a ball as far and as hard as anyone you would see in any form of cricket, not the least of which this level of cricket. Justin Dill again bowling now to Jayasuriya, looking to run this one behind square. I think he was just looking to play that late cut that he loves playing, missing out on it, but yet another expensive over. 71 runs have come from the last 5 overs, if you can believe it. The last 5 overs, they're scoring at above 14 runs and over. And the score is now 127 for 1.
Brian just spoke about those 70 odd runs that came of the last 5 overs. You can see those tall buildings. The first 4 or 5 overs were about sedate. Maximum runs that came out of those first few overs was 8 of the 4th. But since then, look at that. The last 4, 20, 17, 19, 12. Absolutely destructive. Shayan and Shehan, the 2 J's.
Stunning assault on the bowling attack. This appears to be Nush Kenjige, who will be finishing off his spell. 3 overs bowled so far. In fact, that is not Nash Kenjige. I'll get confirmation on who that is shortly, but hammered. Oh, that could have been a return catch. It would have been a special one, but it burst right through the hands. In fact, this is Taha Syed bowling again. Looking at that replay, banging right at Taha, not able to control it. Was struck very hard, and they end up conceding a single.
Tell you a little fun fact about the Houston Premier League and Shayan Jahangir. The first time he played here in Houston was in that 2017 edition, where he was playing for his now opposition, Houston Stars. And this one is up in the air. Taha Syed is getting under it, and he makes a meal out of it. It was up quite high. He had to run back and settle under that ball. He kept going in circles. Just never really looked like catching it. And luckily for Shehan Jayasuriya, that was dropped and they get through for a single. Taha to continue in the second over so far.
Oh, what a shot.
That slow and loopy gives Shayan so much time, and the kind of form he is in right now, Taha should consider himself very lucky that he picks that only guy, the long off back there. So about the 2017 final, Shayan represented the Stars, who are his opposition today, and led them to the title with a brilliant 100 in the finals against the now finalist UMMC Knight Riders. As this one is a half tracker, and that's another simple catch dropped. It was right in his lap. He literally had to walk 3 steps and hold on to it. Totally makes another meal out of it. It doesn't even hit his hands, I think. It just hits him on his abdomen area somewhere, and he's down on the ground, as you can see in the far distance.
Well, we are some probably 200 yards away from him, so it's hard to see exactly who that is. It might be Andreas Haus, but whoever it is, it landed right in an area where you would think he'd pouch that pretty easily. Jayasuriya given a chance and following it up with another single. Boy, this is an onslaught of epic proportions. We've not seen anything like this as sustained and as long as it has been for today's onslaught by these two, Shayan Jahangir and Shehan Jayasuriya.
And the thing is, somebody somewhere has to put a hand up and pull this back for the Stars. There were 3 catches in this over which were dropped. Again, nicely punched by Shayan. It's almost as if he's now taking a little breather to reboot for those final 6 overs and bring out an even bigger assault. He's on 88 of 51 right now. Shehan Jayasuriya on 44 of 27. This is looking ominous for the Stallions right now. At the end of 14, it's 136 for 1.
Where do you go if you are Amir Ahmed? Where do you go to find a bowler who is going to restrict this onslaught? This looks like Nash Kenjige, who's being asked to bowl his last over from the forest end. He's bowling to Shayan Jahangir. Off the back foot, crushes it to extra cover, but cannot pierce or get the ball past that fielder at extra cover. So moral victory, a dot ball. I haven't seen very many of those today. Yeah. Corner dry still has a couple. Goes reverse sweep, and does he? That can't quite get it past that fielder short third. So they get a single. So in thinking of where exactly you're going to get your runs from, where you're going to get your overs from, Corner Dry still has 2. Nush is in his 4th over. Justin Dill has 1. Adnan Haroon has 1. Taha Said 2. And Unmuk Chand, I can't imagine that they'd give him another over. But everyone who has bowled so far, with the exception of Adnan Haroon and Taha Syed, in fact, let me check that. 3 bowlers so far have gone for double-figure runs per over. That's Unmuk Chand, Corner Dry, and Taha Syed 9.5, which is effectively 10. That is scorched down the ground to deep mid-wicket for a single.
I'm still wondering, Brian, if this lineup has a third seamer somewhere. Like I had been saying, this happens to be my favorite bowling attack in the tournament, and the disdain with which it's been taken apart today by these two, it's baffling.
Off the back foot, and where did that end up? 4. Forcing it off the back foot, that's not an easy shot to play straight. But he got it straight enough where long on was not a threat to have caught it. So that brings Shayan Jahangir into, within 2 runs of his 90. Of course, we're not going to mention that other number just yet.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Oh my goodness. Nush Kenjige only with 2 deliveries remaining in his spell. Bang! Where does that go? High, hard, handsome, 6 more. Shayan Jahangir now into the 90s. He is up to 94. The score up to 148. Does he stay aggressive here with the last ball of Nush Kenjige's over? Spell. Wanted to go big, but that's a good delivery. Very full, and he could only force that down to long on for a single. But importantly, he does keep the strike. 13 more runs come from that over. 67 in the last 5. The score is 149 for 1.
Yogesh Kaka, as we always know, is quite in his element right now. I'll read out a few of his comments on the live stream. Great going, Shayan Jahangir. Well played, Dada. Taha Butterfingers, 2 chances. Tough gonna be. Yes, 3 catches, unbelievable. Dada need 100. It's almost a wave of emotions from Yogesh Kaka, like we know him to be a supporter of cricket. He's always
that is his 100. That goes for 6. Oh, what an innings by Shayan Jahangir. Taha Syed back into the attack. And he goes on the back foot and takes a ball that is short of length and plows it right back over his head. 101 not out. And ladies and gentlemen, he's not done yet. There he goes again. Where did that end up? Wide of that fielder at long off, and that's another 4. Oh, this is going to get out of control in a hurry if it has not already for the Houston Stars. And bear in mind, Munir, the Houston Stars won the toss and put the Stallions X into bat.
One thing I must add, Brian, is again, I'm not a tarot card reader or a fortune teller, but when Shayan walked out to bat, I was wondering, he is due for a big one. He didn't have a really good group stage.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of player who comes alive in big pressure situations, loves the spotlight. And you would expect nothing less of a player of his magnitude and stature, living up to his name.
Oh, my goodness. Just stunning assault. And not to be outdone, This is Shanjai Surya, but I think he holds out to that fielder down there at deep mid-wicket. I think that is a catch that is taken, very muted, in fact, no celebration whatsoever, because much of the damage has already been done. And just looking at the reaction of Taha Syed, it was one more of frustration at having given up as many runs as he had, than relief that he took the wicket of Shayan Jayasuriya. But in looking at that replay, Shayan Jayasuriya played it well, played it flat, but he picked out the fielder in the deep at mid-wicket. So he's dismissed for a well-played 45 from 28. He's being applauded back into the pavilion and now going out to join Captain Shayan Jahangir is going to be we'll get the name of the new batter as soon as we have it, but boy, in the last several overs, cricket balls have been flying all over the place, and it is stunning how far the Stallions have gotten. Bearing in mind, we thought par score this morning was 160, and it was fair to say that the teams fell far below what that par score is. We're now in the 16th over. We're already at 160 for 2.
What Cheyenne is doing right now is nowhere close to par. It's once in a lifetime kind of an innings.
Yep. And
So-
in fact, the new batter is Shubham Ranjani. Bang! Height. How much distance? Plenty distance. Yet another 6. Oh, this assault never stops. Shayan Jahangir now up to 112, and that is his 10th 6 to go along with 8 fours. 112 from 60, striking it at a fearsome rate.
6 runs.
Goodness.
6 runs. 6 runs.
Striking it right now at the rate
runs.
of
6 runs.
186.
6 runs.
That is a heck of a strike rate.
6
And
runs.
he again is not done yet. That is the
6
end
runs.
of yet another expensive
6
over.
runs.
Boy, this bowling card is not going to make for good reading if you are the Houston Stars. All of the bowlers have been treated, with the exception of Justin Dill, with scant rudeness. Corner Dry still has 2 overs to go. And in fact, the captain, Shayan Jahangir, signaled his intent earlier on in the piece by attacking Corner Dry. And in fact, it appears that Corner Dry will be the one who's being asked to bowl again from the forest end. And he will be bowling to Shayan Jahangir, who is on 112 from 60, 8 fours and 10 sixes. Plays it off the back foot. Work for the sweeper to do out there in the deep. That is a brilliant piece of work by Justin Dill. And an appeal for run out. He is gone. What a brilliant piece of work in the deep by Justin Dill. Everyone here in front of us is signaling for. I have to say, from our perspective, I think Justin Dill did enough to keep that ball not only from going over the boundary, but from not touching the ball while he was across the boundary rope. So for me, that is not a 4. And I seriously do think that that appeal for a run out is legitimate, because I don't think that ball went for 4. Maybe generating just a bit of discussion, but the hard part has already been done. Shayan Jahangir will be completely disappointed by that. but I think he did a fantastic job. Ends his day with 113, coming back for the second run and was run out. But it appears that the only way that he could have gotten out today was being run out. What an innings by the captain. Tremendous batting. And you hear the applause around the ground for the captain himself, Shayan Jahangir. Boy, so maybe we can all breathe at this stage, because maybe there will be some normalcy injected back into this innings. We're at the back end of the innings now. The batters are going to be Shubham Ranjani and Asan Shah, looking to slap that one away on the leg side, not able to make any contact with it, but then they fumble and then end up giving up a single anyway. So the score has raced along to 169, make that 170 now for 3. Just an absolutely brutal assault that we're witnessing here, or have witnessed, from Shayan Jahangir. Corner dry, full toss, going down the leg side. That's going to be a wide. Umpire Owen Brown signaling exactly that.
Wide ball.
And there is just so much that happened here in the last several overs. But at the end of all of it, the reality is that Shayan Jahangir has set Prairie View Cricket Stadium alight. Corner dry now being asked to bowl his third over. You suspect that he'll bowl his fourth. Possibly this being the 17th. You'd think he'd probably bowl the 19th. This is worked to backward square leg for a single. So a lot of the momentum has gone out of the innings for the Stallions. Stallions X, that is. With the dismissals of first Shahan Jayasuriya, then Shayan Jahangir. A lot of what was carrying them towards such an imposing total, a total that we thought might have been in excess of 210, 220, that momentum has now been taken away. But still, whatever they end up with, it's going to be a difficult chase. Great Yorker, and they'll get a single out of it, though. Good delivery by Corny Dry, just right in the block hole, and that's Asan Shah, who is not able to work that ball away for any productive shot, but they do steal a single. That ball just deadening right by the stumps, and by the time Corny Dry was able to get down to that end, they'd already gone through for a single. Boy, so much has happened in such a short period of time. At the end of all of this, we're looking for another 2 deliveries left here in the 17th. Short ball pulled away in the deep. That is mid-wicket in position. They come back for a second. This is going to be a close run out. Nope, not going to be a run out. That's a good piece of running. So they get 2. This should be, I believe, the last ball of Corny Dry's over. His third over. So far, before this over, he'd bowled 2 for 22. So he's now conceded a few more runs, up to 2.4 and 2 for 28, or none for 28.
Last ball of the 17th over coming up from Corny Dry. He's been looking to hit the deck. A lot of those deliveries have been really short, which I don't understand, and it's been dispatched by Shubham Ranjane over cow corner for a 6.
Wow. You see Corny Dry's reaction, though. That reaction tells me that he thought that that catch should have been taken. And I have to say, from this distance, I sort of agree with him. The fielder was in off of the boundary rope by a couple of yards, and he ended up jumping awkwardly and not being able to collect it, not being able to catch it. Had he been back on the boundary rope, that very well could have gotten to him at around head height, and you think you'd have been able to take that catch.
Brian, as you can see, is having to stand up to catch a glimpse of the action. On the outside scope of your camera, you can see there's a big crowd that's built up right outside the commentary box, and most of our view is blocked. I am just relying on my laptop to look at the cameras, but obviously we're not covering every corner, every nook of this ground. So there are some blind spots. So don't go by. A disclaimer should be aptly put out. Don't go by what we are calling. Use your best judgment.
Adnan Haroon back into the attack. I gave up some time ago trying to knock on the glass and asking people to sit down because I might as well be trying to scoop buckets of water out of the Gulf of Mexico, because that's just not going to happen. Wow. 2 deliveries that were very short and you would think could have been put away. But you'll take those 2 dot balls if you're Adnan Haroon.
You notice how he's keeping it out of his range, throwing it further out. Now he comes back onto the stumps. Essen clears his front foot. They should be able to come back for a second, and there's going to be an overthrow. No backing up.
Wow.
I'm seeing that the Stars' shoulders have dropped. There's no chirping on the field. There's no one bucking them up. This is a big game. They can't let this slip out of their grip. They've got the likes of Unmuk Chand, Andres Goss. It's not the end of the world.
6. Wow. Off the back foot. Shubham Ranjani. 18 now from 6. Just going onto the back foot and just depositing that one over the top of Justin Dill down here at Long On. Boy. Well, the momentum slowed down a little bit with the dismissal of the captain. And it looks like it's being picked right back up. This is just going to be a single, though. And I believe that is Andreas Haus out there sweeping on the offside. Wow.
Last ball of the 18th over coming up. 13 more legal deliveries left in this innings.
Last ball just crashed down to long off. And that is the end of the 18th over. Make that 192 for 3 is the score. Last 12 coming up. We'll be right back.
Houston Premier League 2023 is brought to you by Turmeric Cuisine and Bar, located in Katy, Texas, right across from Costco Wholesale. Maverick Cricket from Dallas is the proud sponsor of HPL match balls for 2023. Reach out to them for all your cricketing gear needs. Over number 19 to be bowled by Corny Dry coming up. He's bowling from the northern end. Goes full and straight, inside half of the bat. Fine leg was inside the circle, but the ball dies down on its way, so it won't go to the boundary, but they would be able to come back for an easy 2 runs. So Brian, let me ask you a question. We knew this was a new pitch.
Mm-hmm.
No games were played, and the reason being the management at Prairie View and the ground staff wanted to give us a new wicket. They put extra preparations in this, and there's been a mix of everything today. There was a 130-run game, and now it looks like we're batting on Highway 290. 2 really contrasting performances from the teams. Now this one again is short of length. Hit straight down, cross batted to long on. It's just going to be a single. So yeah, Brian, coming back to that, your take on the pitch and the facilities that have been provided today.
I have to say that when I looked at the wicket this morning, I thought it was a little moist, a little damp. I thought that the ball wouldn't come onto the bat as easily, so I was not surprised that the first innings or the first match this morning yielded the types of scores. Look at this shot. Oh my goodness. What a brutal strike by Shubham Ranjani. Another 6 over the top of the fielder down at long on. So back to your question. I always thought, in addition to what I've already said, that batting was going to be easier in the second game than in the first. And in fact, I thought batting would be easier in the second innings this morning than in the first. But I don't know that I perceived that there was a 60-run difference in scores between the two matches. It did not look like that much of a difference. So much of this has to be down to approach. Much of it has to be down to the individuals who are involved. Shayan Jahangir, who signaled his intent from the very beginning, who attacked the big fast bowler, Corny Dry, and really treated all the bowlers with disrespect. So much of this is down to the individual and not just about the pitch.
The beauty of T20 is that it's really a huge momentum game. And if you win a couple of crucial moments in the game, you really can run away with it. And that's what Shayan Jahangir did. He was off to a subdued start. I think for the first 17 odd balls, his score was 11. This one is down the leg side. Umpire Owen Brown calls it a wide, and that's also gonna be buys. Did they get through for a single? I might have missed that.
They did not.
They did not. So it's just one run, a wide. And yeah, from that point onwards, Shayan really took the onus upon himself to be the aggressor. And the way he dented the bowling, I think he put doubts in their minds. He really came hard at them, and nobody was able to put their hands up and say, I'm going to get his wicket. They were just going through the motions, and he kept hitting it. It was like a fight of roosters when one has already given up, but the umpire hasn't called. And this one has been hit straight to the fielder at cow corner.
He dropped it.
Straight in his lap, and it's been dropped, and another overthrow. This is just a comedy of errors. It's getting worse. Now, back to worse for Stars.
Oh, it was down his throat at deep mid-wicket, but I think he stopped too soon. He could have come in a few more steps and maybe taken it at waist height, but he tried to take it at ankle height, and the ball popped out. Straightforward drop, and then compounding that error by an errant throw, and a few more balls flying around in the infield yields a few more runs.
So the point I was making, Shayan delivered the knockout punch about 10 overs ago, but it seems the umpire hasn't called for the bell. And we still have to keep fighting.
Great
all one-way traffic.
Oh, there's
Look
a
at
short
that.
ball that you'd expect from the fast bowler, but all it ends up being is just a dot. 15 runs coming from that over, 207 for 2. So going back to you and me speaking about how mystified we were about the choice of bowlers when they were brought on, particularly the spin bowlers, I'd have to attribute probably some 25 or 30 runs to when the spin bowlers were used. I can't imagine that if Corny Dry and Justin Dill were used in tandem to open the bowling, that we would have had a similar result. I just can't imagine that. So some of it is because it's easier to bat on the pitch right now versus this morning. Some of it, I think, has to be due to the individual brilliance of Shayan Jahangir, and maybe slightly to a lesser extent Shehan Jayasuriya, and then some of it comes down to tactics by the bowling side.
And we as commentators are often treading a fine line, trying to keep it interesting and giving you predictions and insights, and we often go on a limb. But in that case, it just seemed like there was something not going to plan when they came out with Nosh in the first. It was the second over, I think. And we've always said that if you have Coney Dry and Justin Dill, that's your strength. These are two great fast bowlers. Give them the new ball. And I think the script started to go wrong right then and there. Beyond that, I think the other spinners that came on, Adnan, Taha, and in fact that one over from Unmuk Chand, that was just insult to injury. Cheyenne just inflicted damage, and we're not giving enough credit to Shehan Jayasuriya, but that was a great partnership between the two. Now, what a catch there!
Oh, stunning. Absolutely stunning. So that's against the run of play. How much of a difference it will make in the overall context of this game, we're not sure, but you have to take those catches. And I think that catch at mid-on was emblematic of what you would want to see in the outfield. A lot of catches have been dropped today, and I think that fielder at mid-on shows you exactly how it's done. So the third wicket goes down. Make that the fourth wicket goes down. The score is 208 for 4.
Yeah, it's looking like a lost cause going by the body languages. And whether the Stars are just relying on Onumuk Chand and Andres Goss to come out and pull something special out of the hat. It's a team game. There are 11 folks on the field, and each one has to put their hand up and keep fighting till the final ball is bowled. It does seem they've given up a long time ago, and as if the script is for Unmuk to go and now pull off some magic. This one is again smashed over cover.
How did that happen? Look at that stroke over cover for 6. How about that for a first ball? You face one ball and you go over the top of cover for 6. Tremendous strike.
So as you're looking at the batting summary of Stallions X, we thought the dismissal of Cheyenne and Shehan Jayasuriya might slow down the scoring, but Shubham Ranjane has taken it to the next level. He's on.
Wow.
He scored 30 runs of 10 deliveries. Shubham Ranjane. What an assault.
So that was Jaskaran Singh Buttar, who is the new batter, who elevated that first ball to him over cover for 6. They steal a single now, and then it will be Asan Shah on strike.
Last 3 balls of the innings.
Bang! Oh! What a shot! Oh my goodness. This is stunning stuff. This is absolutely stunning stuff. 221 with still 2 balls to go.
Let me get you some candid shots of the Stallion setup, which is sitting right in front of us. About 30 or 40 of them. They're on their toes, all of them, cheering
Yorker
on.
length delivery. Oh, look at this. This is going to be a run out. And not, again, very consequential in the grand scheme of things. Jaskaran Singh Buttar trying to get back on strike. Not sure why he was looking to get back on strike after that stroke that was just played by Asan Shah. But that is the end of Jaskaran Singh Buttar. And now with, I believe, 1 ball remaining, the score of 221 for 4.
Biggest score of the tournament so far by some distance.
Well, where is this going? It's going to be 4, is it? It's 4. Now I think that official is the biggest score in the tournament. The chase yesterday was 222. So remember, the first inning score was 221. Here.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yes. So that boundary to close things out represents the biggest score in the tournament. The Stallions X, as a reminder, they were asked to bat by the Houston Stars, and they have whacked the Stars all around Prairie View. 225 for 4, scoring at the rate of 11.25 runs and over. Andreas Haus and Unmuk Chand have some work to do to get anything close to this total and book a place in the final.
So, Mr. Brian Walters is headed out onto the field trying to get hold of Cheyenne Jangir. And we're going to have some thoughts from Cheyenne pretty soon. A score of 225 for 5 is what Stallions have set for the Stars to breach in order to book a berth in the Grand Championship final tomorrow. The word is that Cheyenne, the mold he's in right now after scoring that 100, he's still not settling in. He doesn't want to take a breather. He's getting ready with his keeping gear and getting ready to marshal his troops onto the field. So, no interview with Cheyenne right now. But we're about 5 to 6 minutes away from that second innings.
The pitch is damn.
A damn pitch has produced 225 runs. Mangesh scuffles. And we'll continue with this break for the time being, and we'll back soon in about 5 minutes from now with the second innings. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 2-2-6. It's not a test match between India and Australia in Nagpur. This is a T20 game being played in Texas. The Houston Premier League second semi-final coming live to you from Prairie View Cricket Complex. Onumuk Chand faces up the first delivery in pursuit of 226 runs. His opening partner seems to be Andres Goss. And Houston Stars have got their work cut out, Brian.
They absolutely have their work cut out for them. But in some ways, it's very liberating to be chasing such a big score. If you're chasing 145, 150, you're sort of unsure as to when to put your foot on the gas. When you're chasing 225, you know that you have to go from ball one. And the big drive outside off and missed by Unmuk Chand. So yes, Unmuk Chand and Andreas Kraus are the openers.
When you were saying that, Brian, the point about batsmen being liberated, a doubt struck my mind, and that was the fact that Unmuk Chand is somebody who likes to ease into his innings, takes the first couple of overs to get a feel, and then cuts loose. And now that he doesn't have that freedom, he has to go from the very first over. That changes his game plans. So let's see how he plans his innings here. Zia-ul Haq, left arm over. He's bowling from the northern end.
Zia-ul Haq is a good bowler. Swings it not as much as, for example, a Carmel Leroux, but generally very accurate. Not quite as quick as Carmel Leroux either, but you have the same advantage of him being a left arm fast bowler who's bowling over the wicket. Struck in the air, past short cover that will run away for 4. So you need a whole lot more of that if you're Unmuk Chand. But I'll tell you what, once again, in some ways,
4 runs.
you are liberated by the fact that you only have one gear to go in.
So, Brian, the question right now is, if you are the Stars owner or somebody in their think tank, would you give Unmuk Chand the leverage to take his time and ease into his innings? Or the message is go from ball one? Given that Cheyenne took 17 balls and he was on 11 and then he cut loose, so it's the kind of wicket where you take your time, you really can capitalize. What would you advise Unmuk? Not that he needs our advice.
That was going to be my point. Unmuk Chand has played cricket for, I'm assuming, the majority of his life. He's played at the highest level. You don't need to give Unmuk Chand advice. Unmuk Chand is an intelligent enough cricketer to be able to size up the situation and know what needs to happen. And if he gets a ball that he can score off of, he can score. That was a brilliantly cut ball over the top of backward point for 4. I don't anticipate that there are any pretensions about exactly what he needs to do here. He knows what needs to happen, and he knows that there's a big total to be overhauled. The scoring rate at which they need to go as of right now is 12 and over. They're right now scoring at 11.27 and over. So that ball outside off stump missed. That is the end of the first over. 10 coming from that first over. And a long way to go, but I'll tell you what, if Unmuk Chand and Andreas Kraus get stuck in, then they can score very quickly, and they can certainly tend to make something about this run chase that hopefully in their mind will be able to pull closer to it.
You hit the nail there, Brian. And I can go on a limb and say that if Unmuk tends to bat somewhere in excess of 50 to 55 to 60 deliveries in this innings, we have a cracker of a game on our hands. This is going to be a worthy semi-final if this man stays at the crease.
I'll tell you what, if my eyes are not mistaken, this looks like Ihsan Adil, who's about to bowl from the highway end. Ihsan Adil, former Pakistani international.
If some of you were at the gala, we asked a question about Ehsan. He played that 2012 U19 World Cup, made his first class debut the same year, and within a few months he was handed a test cap for Pakistan, coming in at Centurion and got the wicket of Graham Smith in his very first over. And he spills it down the leg side. Cheyenne, like a spring chicken, dives about 10 meters to his left and saves 5 wides.
Well, 10 meters is an exaggeration. But he did make a fair amount of distance to his left.
Well, we'll accept that Cheyenne, we can give him the leverage of doing Superman things today. He's in that kind of mood. From where I'm seeing, he dived like 50 meters.
So Ihsan Adil bowling to Andreas House. This is a heck of a matchup. Andreas, generally a very aggressive player. And given the situation that they're in, he knows that they need runs. Tell you what, Ihsan Adil, though, is feeding him those balls down the leg side. So already 2 bonus runs from this over and not yet a legal delivery bowled.
And the bowler has slipped. The blame goes on the groundsman. It's a slippery pitch, Mangesh. Bowler's footholds are not being fixed. There's no one running in with sawdust.
Well, I mean, I tell you, just
He's a friend of ours. We can pull his leg
The
every now
level.
and then.
homie, it's the shoes. That old Air Jordan commercial. Money, it's got to be the shoes. I was a freshman in college, so were you all even born yet? I know you weren't born.
But mind you, I used to use those tactics in school cricket. After bowling my second or third ball, I used to hold my hamstring and often even fall down. Not that I'm claiming that was the case here.
Of course not. Lovely stroke for no run.
Finally, Andres Goss gets to feel bat on ball after watching the first 2 deliveries pass down the leg side.
I think it's interesting that Andreas House is playing as a batter only. Generally, he's a wicketkeeper batter. So he was fielding in the outfield. I think he may have been one of the ones who dropped the catch out there in the deep, kind of far away from us to be absolutely sure. But, you know, if you have the lineup that you do, you have an embarrassment of riches. And Ihsan Adil struggling a little bit. Not sure exactly what the nature is of that struggle.
He surely is. The first couple of balls sprayed down the leg side. Then he slipped. Got the last delivery at the right bearings, but had to pull out of this delivery. So, concerning signs for the Stallions, because he's their express ace pacer. And they would expect him to bowl. Oh, wow,
where's
this
that
is
gone? Oh my goodness.
up in the air.
Height and distance. Lands 1 foot beyond the ropes over long off for the first 6 off of the bat of Andreas House.
Let's take a look at this and admire what Andres Goss just did. Look at that bat swing. Holds his pose, high elbow. Beautiful stroke, and the fact that it goes all the way, clears that 75-meter boundary straight down the ground.
That is a heck of a strike by Andreas House. And I keep saying it, a long way to go, but Adil looking to pull things back. So when you're chasing a total of this size, Munir, do you at any point start looking or thinking about who you're going to target, or are you just going hell for leather from ball 1?
They definitely have to look at matchups, because I think that's become an essence of modern day cricket. They have to find some weaker spots in this bowling lineup and target those bowlers for 15, 16, 18 and over. There would be a couple of bowlers who would be a threat. So getting 35-40 of their 4 won't be a bad deal at all without giving them too
Oh!
many wickets. And this one again. Andres Goss holds his pose.
He does hold the pose. For a split second, his heart might have been in his mouth because he didn't get the elevation on that last one like he did the first. And so it passed over the top of that fielder at mid-off by, I'd say, maybe 11 feet in the air. So he jumped, and for a split second, Andreas Kraus might have thought that he had gone in, that had gone to hand. But thankfully for him, it goes over the top of mid-off and then runs away for 4.
So he's off to a flyer. He's on 10 of 4. Add those 2 wides down the leg side. They've got 12 of this over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good start. They've hit the ground running. And this one, slightly... Oh, there's big confusion. Yes and no. No and yes. They both safely get back in their creases. The second over is about to finish. There's 22 runs on the board. They've started at 11 and over. Andres Goss facing up to SN Adil on what is the last delivery of the second over. Nice back of length delivery, swinging away. There was slight seam movement on that too. Andres was content to block it. And at the end of 2 overs, it's 22 for no loss. Houston Premier League 2023 is brought to you by Turmeric Indian Cuisine and Bar. Turmeric is a brand new establishment specializing in spicy South Indian cuisine, subcontinent food, and they are a perfect venue for your birthday events, any kind of catering requirements. They're also on Uber Eats and DoorDash if you need to order home deliveries. Do check them out. Turmeric Indian Cuisine and Bar, the official sponsors of Houston Premier League 2023. Zia ul Haq is going to continue from the northern end. Good combination of left arm seam and right arm of SN Adil. 2 different angles coming to these opening batsmen creates those doubts. Ball moving at different angles. Zia seems to be the one who gets the ball to nip back into the right-hander. And this one is skied up. The keeper is backing up. And there you go. That's a huge wicket. That changes the complexion of this game completely.
Unmuk Chan, the man who scored consecutive centuries earlier this week. In fact, Thursday night and Friday morning. Ends up skying a very straightforward chance to the keeper, who accepts it gleefully. And he is dismissed. Any script that would have been written that would end up with the Houston Stars winning this match, you would have to think would include Unmuk Chan batting deep into the innings. So it's obviously a long way to go, but you want to know that somebody like an Unmuk Chan could have batted deeper. And now coming into bat, I would have to think they'd send Sujit Gowda here, but there's a long way to go, and very honestly, not much batting. There's a lot of batting to come, but not a lot of big hitting to come. And it may not be too early to start thinking that 1s and 2s are not going to work, and we need to find somebody who can clear the fence with ease.
In order for you to chase a target of 225 in a T20, one of your batsmen has to have an absolute beast of a day.
Mm-hmm.
A kind of an innings that he plays once every 5 years. You're looking at somebody scoring 120 of like 50 odd balls. That's the kind of score, that's the kind of innings that could overhaul a total of 225. And then you look from top to bottom in that batting lineup. a guy you can pick to play that kind of innings was Onumuk Chand. So despair for the Houston Stars. Now that shifts a lot of attention on Andres Goss because he's the other big name in this batting lineup who could potentially get them close to that total.
If you asked me for three names ahead of time who could chase down such a total, those three names would have been Onmuk Chand, Andreas House, and Sujith Gowda. Sujith Gowda is now at the wicket. So for me, this partnership means everything in the context of this game. Look at that great delivery. Ziaul Haq getting that ball to fizz off the surface of the pitch. Good carry through to the keeper. And so this partnership for me means everything. It means that if this pair doesn't bat until the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th over, and then set some sort of a table where you have the others who can come in at the back end and maybe chase 60 in 7 or something along those lines. If that doesn't happen, then unfortunately I think we're only simply talking about what the final difference in scores is going to be, because any conversation about winning this match has, I think at this stage, to do heavily with this pair at the wicket.
And Shayan Jahangir, we said during the break that he's really focused, and in spite of scoring that 100, it's not as if his job is done. As a thinking captain, he now has to make those bowling changes, get the right matchups, and like we saw there, after the wicket of Unmukt, Sujit gets on strike and the slip comes right in. So he's also tasting blood now. They want to make inroads on this batting lineup as the next delivery is bowled, and the inside half of Andres' bat, just a single, and Sujit is back on strike. In fact, that slip is also almost in the second slip position. It's a very wide slip, and that's primarily because Ehsan is angling, in fact, Zia is angling the ball across the right-hander. They're hoping for a wide slash that flies off the edge and that slip fielder comes into business.
Well, we're obviously still with a long way to go, but you start thinking about how are we going to manufacture runs.
Exactly what I said on that last delivery. That ball outside off, angled across, a wide slash. Only thing missing was a nick.
Well, you know, you're watching this game primarily from the screen in front of you, whereas I'm looking at the actual action. And now I see what you talk about when you say that slip is wide, is almost standing at second slip. I couldn't pick that up from looking directly at the action, but I think you're absolutely right. If Zia ul Haq keeps that ball outside off, look at that. Another great delivery. That line is going to cause all sorts of problems for Sujit Gowda and Andreas Kraus. What you're going to want to do is find a way that you can manufacture runs. You saw where Shayan Jahangir made the distinct decision to attack the pace bowlers this morning or in the first innings. I don't know that you don't do something similar. I don't know that you start saying, you know what, we're here. If we are going to get into the finals tomorrow, we need a blinder from me. And throw caution to the wind. We're no longer worried about net run rate or anything like that. The fact is, we need a blinder from me right now. What do I need to do to try to grab this game by the scruff of the neck?
That last over went for just 2 runs, and with it came that huge wicket of Onumuk Chand.
Fortune favors the brave. A little bit of width outside off stump. A huge drive being essayed by Andreas Kraus. Thick outside edge and flies over the top of the keeper and to his right. Third man was well too square and not going to get around in time to get to that one. So 4 runs to Andreas Kraus. He now moves up to 15 from 8 with those 2 4s and a 6.
Ehsan Adil is bowling a second over now. So One thing they've done a lot better than the Stars is got their first two quicks, the prime new ball bowlers, and got them to bowl up front.
Oh!
Look at that from Andreas.
Wow. Well, if the first delivery was too far outside off stump, providing the width for him to get that thick
Six
outside
runs.
edge, this one was too straight. This was speared in towards leg stump, and Andreas House only happy to pick that ball up, just a pickup shot. Looking at this would have hit. Had that missed, it would have hit maybe the outside of legs or the inside of leg stump, but at that angle, with a batter who has as good a command of his faculties as Andreas does, that is always going to be a scoring opportunity for him. So 4 and then a 6 to start this innings, or this over rather. And Andreas House says challenge accepted.
He might have come out tops on the challenge on this ball, but in the scheme of this game, it's a lot bigger challenge up front.
Oh! Biggest of all of them. Slower delivery tried by Isanadil, and he's probably not going to bowl that delivery ever again. Almost a loopy full toss, well, not a full toss, a loopy half volley on leg stump, and it absolutely got the treatment. Oh, what? Looking at that replay, Andreas House had time to stop, plan where he wanted to play that, make a call to order his dinner, and then play that shot over square leg for 6. Wow.
He's on 27 of 10. The kind of fireworks the Stars need in this power play. The only little dent is the loss of Unmukh Chand, but Andres is not slowing down, and that's beautifully played of the back foot. Look at that. What a shot. Two
That's a
fielders
great
tag
piece of
team
fielding.
and keep it down to just 2 runs. That was racing to the boundary on this fast outfield.
Of all the shots that he's played this over, that might have been the best of them all for me. The other 3 were off balls that deserved to be hit. They were not very good deliveries. This is a good ball just on that off stump line, maybe 4th stump line at a good length. And he just punched it off the back foot, ball racing away towards the boundary. And this is again punched into the covers. Good diving stop there by that fielder. Very athletic work being done in that position. So 19 from the over so far. They need several more overs like this, but we're still talking about chasing 11 runs and over. Look at this. The required rate from here is 11.32. They're scoring at the rate of 11.22. So the rate is not an issue. The issue is just being able to maintain that rate and not lose any wickets in bunches. Last delivery, top edge over the top of fine leg. And it runs away for, did it get for 4? No, it did not. Good work by the fine leg fielder to prevent that running away, but they do get 2. So a big over. In fact, the biggest of all the overs in this match so far, 21 runs come from it. That was in fact Sujit Gowda who played that pull shot, sailing away over the top of fine leg. 21 runs coming. Just a second, trying to confirm. If I'm not mistaken, I just heard the umpire announce that the first ball was a no ball. I absolutely missed that. Well, a lot of excitement in that last over. And hearing now from umpire Owen Brown that there was a no ball in this previous over. And that we just saw is the last ball of that over. So a flurry of runs, a flurry of activity. At the end of all of that, there are 4 overs bowled and there are 46 runs on the board.
Maverick Cricket from Dallas is the proud sponsor of the Houston Premier League. Maverick Cricket have provided the official match balls of Houston Premier League 2023. Reach out to them for all your cricket gear needs. The owner Bhavik Patel is a cricket gear nerd and he can help you secure quality cricket gear at the best prices. Maverick Cricket from Dallas.
So we're going back to Zia ul Haq for his third over. Short. And no indication from umpires as to whether or not that was a wide. I don't think it was. In fact, I don't think it was signaled as a wide. Also, no indication that was one for the over. So, just a very nondescript dot ball is what it appears.
Andres is on 30 of 12. Sujit is on 3 of 6.
Can't pierce the outfield or the infield. And a quick shot at the stumps at the non-striker's end is not in time. So they get a single.
The two bowlers, Brian, for Stallions have had such contrasting spells in these first couple of overs. Ziaul Haq has just conceded 10 of his first 2. As you can see on the other end, Ehsan Adil has gone for 34 of his first 2.
Oh my goodness. Of course, 22 of that 34 came in his last over.
Absolutely. As he comes in, that's kind of a low full toss, hits the toe of end of the bat. He takes off without any calling from Andres, and that could have been tight. He gets back just in time. And speaking of partnerships, even this one is kind of following the same pattern because Andres is on 31 of 14, but Sujit is on 3 of 7. And the kind of chase this is, you cannot have one guy playing an aggressor and the other just holding one end. You have to go from 2 ends. So Sujit now, having faced 7 deliveries, has his eye in. He would be expected sometime soon to throw the attack back at the Stallions.
What a quick delivery by Zia ul Haq. He bent the back that time, and that ball fizzed past the outside edge of Sujit Gowda's bat. Shayan Jahangir, captain and keeper, taking that one well above his head. That was a really, really aggressive delivery. Wow, what a great sight. Shayan Jahangir jumping to above his head to take that one. Any fast bowler would love to see the keeper hopping around like that to retrieve his deliveries. Another quick delivery, this time defended to mid-on. And look at the difference in the last 2 overs. The 4th over, bowled by Ehsan Adil, went for 22. This over so far, only 1 run has been scored from it, and just 1 ball remaining in it.
As you can see, that tall building in the over-to-over comparison.
Looks to hook another short delivery, and he wears that one on the chest. Sujit Gowda missing out on the hook shot, and he was hammered in the chest by Ziaul Haq. So Ziaul Haq is not going to back down, and he is not the type of bowler who's going to be intimidated by what had happened on the other end. Stays with his same plan of attack and a vicious short ball that time takes Sujit Gowda in the chest.
Absolute gold does Brian these 3 overs that he's bowled.
Oh,
11 for 1, and that one is Unumuk Chand. In a game like this, 3 overs for 11. And
absolutely insane.
that brings us back to that same point of using your new bowlers with the new ball. I think that's the only mistake the Stars are going to do in this game, because once the script drifts into one team's court, it's very hard to pull it back in T20 cricket. Once a team gains momentum and the kind of start Shayan Jahangir got, it's very hard to turn the tables on them from there onwards.
I think you're exactly right. And, you know, the added pressure is that there is the pressure of the semifinal. Struck over the top, nobody out there, that runs away for 4. So Andreas Haus is continuing in the same aggressive mindset. To your point, when there's a lot of scoring taking place, but it's only taking place from one end. And you really do need both batters to be firing at the same time. Just looking at the replay, that is Jaskaran Singh Buttar, who got that one a little too wide. It was a decent length, maybe just on driving length, but offered Andreas Haus the width to have that flayed away over the top of backward point for 4. So a few adjustments in the field. This is the last over of the power play, so they can be more defensive, the Stallions X, after this next after this over. So that would be 4 more or 5 more balls. Bang! Listen to that sound, but it's caught right at mid-off on the edge of the circle. Andreas Haus hammered that one really hard. You hear the echo from the ball on the bat. Hit like a bullet, but right at mid-off, who takes it at head height. Andreas Haus walking very slowly and dejectedly off the park. And you have to wonder if walking off the park, in addition to Andreas Haus, are the chances of victory for the Houston Stars. Wow. That makes a big difference in the context of this game. The 3 players identified earlier on as being key to a potential chase, well, 2 of those 3 have been dismissed. Those 2 are the explosive openers, Unmuk Chand and Andreas Haus. And Sujit Gowda, it's starting to feel like he is going to have it all on his shoulders, because there is so much work to be done. And you're going to see that overall required run rate continue to climb. The current run rate is 9.56. The required run rate from here is now 11.93. So you're already needing around 2 runs and over. 2 runs a ball, I'm sorry. Just going back to our chat. Haven't revisited the chat in a while. Errol Gale says, great work, Umpire Brown. Top job, Errol. I completely agree with you. Owen Brown, one of the best umpires in the business. In fact, he's such a good umpire that we sometimes forget how destructive a batter he was when he played. And Yogesh Patel with a couple of comments. One says, Chand is gone behind the clouds. It's going to be tough for them. Yes, it's going to be absolutely tough. We'll get back to the comments in a minute. This is Jaskaran Singh Buttar bowling again. And this ball is defended. The new batter is Money Singh. Money Singh and Sujit Gowda both have their work cut out for them. It's going to be really difficult. Something else that Yogesh Patel says, Yogesh, Reminds me one of those from you, Brian, when you just came here from Jamaica. Potentially. If you mean that I actually used to play cricket when I came from Jamaica, then yes. Apart from that, there's nothing about my game that resembles anything going on this field. Oh, looking to steal a quick single there. They do get across in the end, but that easily could have been a direct hit from short mid-on. And had that hit, he very much could have been dismissed. But all of a sudden now the momentum feels like it's going out of this chase. They're decelerating at the exact wrong time. If you are the Houston Stars. Jaskaran Singh continuing. Here's the next delivery. Great ball outside off. It's always a testament to how well the pitch is playing when you see where the keeper is collecting those deliveries. Well, Sumanth was about to type, why not bowl Shehan as the Stallions X have done in previous games. And as you answered your own question, Suman, Jaskaran answered it with his own wicket. So good to have somebody like Shehan Jayasuriya in your back pocket if you need him with the ball. Lofted down the ground. That's hit well, I think, and just lands just in front. Short of a 6, I think, by about a foot, but still goes over the rope for 4. I keep saying it, they're going to need a whole lot more of those. Score now moving up to 56, and that is the end of the 6th over. That's the power play done and dusted. 56 for 2. They need 170 runs in 84 balls. So needless to say, this task is going to be very, very difficult. As of this stage, they need more than 2 runs every ball.
Gonna give a quick shout out to Jitin Jacob, Sagar Gatipalli, C. Jiva, Ramesh Subramanian, GPCC Cricket, and Calvin Savage, who subscribed to Houston Premier League YouTube channel.
Awesome. Wait, I subscribed like 3 years ago. Do I not get a shout out also?
You get a shout out and a subway.
Okay, now I see what Yogesh meant. He said, I was talking about those quick ones from Zia which flew past Gouda. Now, yes, that does remind me of me, Yogesh. I was every bit as... No, I wasn't that quick. Even though, Yogesh, you've probably heard this before. The older I get, the faster I used to be. I tell myself these days that I used to be as quick as Zia ul Haq. Maybe not quite as quick as Carmelo Rue, but somehow I convinced myself that that was my game. In reality, I loved playing cricket, and I have great memories playing against people like yourself. But let's not. If I was that quick, I probably would have played a higher level of cricket than I ended up playing. Put it that way.
When he said flew past Gowda, that's the only name he used in that reference. So maybe we're drawing reference from the wrong end of that example drawn by Yogesh.
So you mean I was the batter that the ball was flying by? Is that what you're saying?
Only Yogesh can clarify.
Okay, I am waiting for Yogesh to clarify. I thought he meant what I assumed him to mean, but we'll see what the interpretation comes from. Boy, it seems and feels like the steam is slowly being taken out of this run chase. Elegant looking stroke here, but we're outside of the power play now, so with the protection in the deep, those balls that were sailing away to the boundary a couple overs ago are now just long singles.
By the way, speaking of shout-outs, Sumant, Mr. Yogesh, Sana, Errol, all these folks who joined us yesterday are back again today. So we are humbled by your support and the love you pour at this tournament.
Oh, no question.
Year after year.
Okay, so I happen to just have missed something. Looks like a wicket just fell. Everybody's walking around and congratulating each other, and that appears to be Sujit Gowda, who is walking off the park. Are we looking at the end of this match and still not have even realized it yet? I don't want to see exactly what just happened, but looking at everything that's going on the field right now, it certainly appears as though a dismissal has just occurred. And in fact, going back now and looking at the replay, it was skied towards the deep mid wicket and a catch was taken. So very straightforward and tame dismissal. I believe also that that was Mani Singh who was just dismissed. So Sujit Gowda is still there, joined at the wicket by Justin Dill. But little by little, you're starting to feel the steam go out of any potential chase here by the Houston Stars.
As we can see, with Justin coming in, there's still Taha, Corny Dry, Adnan Haroon, and especially Nosh Kanjike, who's worked so much on his batting. But within these names, you don't see anyone that can keep up with 15 runs an over and hit 10 sixes like Cheyenne did. The first two names, in fact, the first three, were where the real hopes were hinged for the Stars. Sujit is still out there, but like we've said repeatedly, it's not the kind of chase where you can just hit from one end and hold the other. You have to go from both the ends if you're looking to score somewhere in that range.
Well, if you're looking again to, let's say you are the movie producer or the script writer, the script, improbable as it is to the Houston Stars winning this match, involves Sujit Gowda, currently at 8 from 14, needing to end up at 108 from 64, 54, and contributions the rest of the way down. Anything short of that, and they simply don't have the firepower to get there, I don't think. You can expect a couple of sixes, 3 sixes maybe from Kenjige. You can certainly expect some long balls from Corny Dry, big, strong fast bowler who has a big reach. So he can go big, give it the long handle if he wants to or if he needs to. But I don't think you can expect that to be sustained from him. If he comes in with, say, 24 to get in 7 balls, he could be a handful. But you need a Sujit Gowda to bat all the way through the rest of this innings for there to be any chance for the Houston Stars to win this match.
Yeah, and Brian, the biggest example we have of an innings that goes past 200 by quite some distances, in fact, in this game. And besides Cheyenne, there was Cheyenne Jayasuriya, there was Shubham Ranjane, there was S. and Shah. You need those little contributions as well.
Yes.
Shubham Ranjane scored 30 of just 10 deliveries. Those kind of totals make a big difference. And looking at the scorecard, we're not seeing anyone raise their hands.
Well, I will have you read Yogesh Kaka's comments because I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. Oh, look at that. That could have been a return catch. Struck very fiercely. Right back at the bowler. That is Shubham Ranjane. And he was not able to, in fact, that's Jaskaran Singh Buttar. Not able to control it. And it trickles away for a single.
So, the exchange of banter we had a couple of overs ago, where I put Mr. Brian Walters on the spot and doubted his abilities as a young, upcoming, fast Jamaican bowler, Mr. Yogesh indeed has clarified. He says, "You were quick, Brian, and you used to bowl quick ones across the batsman at that Mary Bates Stadium."
Wow. I'll tell you what, I don't know which I love better. That lofted drive over extra cover for 4 or that comment that you just read. Yogesh, thank you very much. You are too kind.
There have been too many 4s and 6s, but that comment is one to cherish.
My
He also
goodness.
says, I think Stallions got this one and booked their spot in the finals against UMMC Knight Riders. that could be a repeat of the 27 final where Cheyenne broke onto the scene. And mind you, that was a chase of 200 and it was more than 220. I think it was a chase of 240 odd. And Cheyenne chased it down with a few balls to spare.
Wow, there he goes again. Big hit and another 6. So Justin Dill getting in on the act.
Brian, what do we know about Justin Dill and Corny Dry? Are those two capable of using the long handle? Big, tall guys with big levers. Do you think they can really give it some kind of impetus, which this innings has desired for quite some time?
Justin Dill is a genuine all-rounder. Corny Dry can hit a cricket ball. So I don't know that you'd expect for Corny Dry to bat for a very long time and give you a big score. But as I said earlier, if he is in the position where he has to hit big for, maybe a 2-3 over spell, he is more than capable of doing that. Justin Dill can bat properly and also can attack. So, I don't want to sell any of them short. And earlier when I said I realized or expected that the runs that were going to come had to come from the top 3, by no means did I say that to try to sell the others short. I just simply meant that, the other team has bowlers also. And so you expect that they'll be able to, keep themselves out of trouble and keep the ball out of the hitting zone of the batters. But Justin Dill is a genuine all-rounder. And I'd also say that Corny Dry can help himself with the bat as well.
I think that's somewhere the Stars can hinge their hopes onto. Because in chases like these, like we're saying, it's a definite that Sujit now has to play that role where somebody bats through the innings and gets 100.
Yes.
But along with that, you're still 125 runs shy of the target. So from that perspective, you need a lot of little cameos from somebody. A 10 ball 30, a 15 ball 40. You need those kind of innings from at least a couple of people. And who is going to bat around Sujit if he indeed were to go through and bat deep into this innings? So we have a couple of names that have been thrown into the hat in the form of Justin Dill and Corny Dry. And Adnan Haroon is somebody who actually opens the batting in local cricket here. Taha Sayed is known to inflict a blow every now and then with the bat.
Somewhere I would need to find it. It would take some time for me to find it, but I took a picture of Taha Sayed. This is probably 10 years ago. He was playing a jump square cut.
Yeah,
I need to find that.
But I think that was in the nets.
It certainly was in the, you do remember, it was in the nets.
Yes.
But if you can take that and somehow replicate it in this game, oh, look at that quick delivery.
I'll come back to Taha. So besides that profile picture that he put, there was another game where I think the Stallions, he was playing for the Stallions in the Houston Cricket League final.
All right.
And they were chasing about the same total in a T20 game. And Taha opened the batting and hit like 45 or 15 deliveries or so with 5 sixes.
Interesting.
So he's more than capable. And there you go. That's straight in the lap.
Taken. Justin Dill thought that was in his arc. No, certainly looks like Justin Dill, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's Justin Dill. And I thought just for a split second he got enough of that to clear the field at deep mid-wicket, but he picked him out, and the catch was taken very low. Yet another wicket goes down that make that 73 for 4. Unfortunately for the Houston Stars, the wheels seem to have fallen off the wagon. Okay, so I tried for years and years to get this man out and forget everything that Yogesh said about me being quick. This young man seated to my right treated me like a stepchild every single time I bowled to him. Thank God in both of our older ages, I no longer have to face up to Mr. Roshan. Roshan, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. You've been kind with your words, Brian. Good to be besides you. Yeah, I mean, like we said the other day, I'm what you get. I'm not a paid commentator, right? Like
Oh,
you.
well, neither am I for that matter. But from your analysis of the game, Roshan, if you were to script victory for the, maybe not victory, if you were to script Houston Stars coming close in this game, what would it take?
Well, they have to take it deep. I think Suzit is still batting, or I'm just joining and trying to catch up with the match.
Well,
But Cornet Dry is there. He can. I've seen him hit some big ones. So he has to kind of stay there till the end and hope for a miracle right now because the scoreline doesn't look good.
it does not. So the batters at the crease are Money Singh, 5 from 8, and Corner Dry, who has just faced his second delivery, none from 2. So, and after this delivery, there will be 66 balls left, and they still have another 153 runs to get.
Oof, that's steep.
It's steep. It's required a rate of 13.7 and over for the next 11 overs. Is that doable? Is it realistic?
Mathematically, yes.
Good clarification.
Mathematically, yes. Right. So as long as it's not 40 runs and over,
Right.
even then it's mathematically yes, but practically you'll need a miracle from here. Somebody has to, play a blinder and take it deep. Lusty hits after lusty hits, and that's the only way to get there.
So earlier I mentioned Corner Dry and how I think he can hit a long ball, and I think you just said the same thing. I would like to see Corner Dry in the situation where he needed to hit a long ball for 2 overs, 3 overs. If he goes in and they need, 17 off of 5 balls, I'd love to see him in that situation. Or maybe even 30 off of 11 balls. Under those circumstances, yes. Asking him to do that for 11 overs, I think, is not his strength on the cricket field.
Yeah, I mean, his primary skill is a bowler.
Yes.
So that's a tough ask. But at the same time, if they can reel off, say, 3 overs in succession where they get about 18, 19, 20 runs and over,
Mm-hmm.
then, went for a very sharp run there. They made it through, but that was gone if it had been a direct hit.
He was absolutely gone. Yeah, that would have been gone by probably a yard or 2.
So, Brian, I mean, let's look at this ball. So you've been doing this for a while, right? I mean, and what I'm trying to do right now is wing it and just watch the game and just wing some commentaries out.
Yeah.
But it takes more than just winging it, right? There's a lot of preparation that goes, and here comes just a single down the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot. I mean, I see you have 2 laptops or 2 machines next to you. You're looking at scorecards, stats, and all
Right.
kinds of things,
Right.
so that you can get the. Let's look at this ball. Off the back foot towards long gone for a single. And it takes a lot, I guess, a lot of preparation, I guess, to get your content in. Can you go through that preparation a little bit in whatever amount of time we have?
It's an interesting question.
And it's up in the air. The fielder goes underneath and takes an easy catch at long on. And Money Singh is gone.
Well, that is the end of Money Singh. 77 for 5 is now the score. I'll answer the question that you just asked. It helps if you already knew the players. It's most difficult if you are asked to commentate in an environment where you don't know the players. So, for example, this past November, I went to Barbados and commentated on the what they call the big man cricket tournament, 50 and up. The guys who I played with, so Kuldeep, Zubair, Humayun, I've known those guys for 20, 25 years each. So that was no problem commentating with them. Half of the other guys I didn't have any idea about, and many of them have not played at the level where I could actually do research and find out about them. So I'm just sort of winging it. If you're commentating on minor leagues or HPL, where I know half of the players at least, and then lean on Munir for the rest of the information, then it becomes easier. If it is a high enough profile player where they have profiles on Cricinfo or anything like that, then you do the research ahead of time to sort of build in, you're seeing this spreadsheet here. I have match details, etc., etc. Over here for stats, then that's where I put some of the stats that I found about individual players.
Yeah.
So I'd say if I'm commentating on a single T20 match, there's probably an hour's worth of research that goes into it. If I'm commentating on a tournament, as that ball is lofted towards deep mid-wicket for 4. Good-looking stroke by Corny Dry. If I'm commentating on a full-blown tournament, particularly if I don't know everybody, but there's information available, then it almost feels like a second job because I'm doing enough research to be able to substantiate anything that I say. Plus, the most difficult thing is if I'm commentating by myself without an additional person, because then you're filibustering for, especially like last year we had the nationals here, the 50 over nationals.
Oh my.
So 50 over nationals by yourself.
So for 100 overs, you're talking to yourself.
Or for 100 overs a day, you're sitting here talking to yourself by yourself. It is not easy. It's fun though. When you get to do it, there's no question that it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, the other day, on the first day, I think, Munir, since you were officiating and doing your other job,
Yes.
Munir asked me to do the commentary, and I was struggling basically because I was wondering whether I should look at the screen in front of me or the live action, and
Right.
then, what should I call? What's the score?
Sure.
What's the stats? What's the summary? It's a lot of things are going on at the same time, right? So. Yeah, I mean, it looks easy when you hear it, or it sounds easy, right? When you
Yeah.
hear, and here comes, I think Subham Ranjan is on the attack,
Mm-hmm.
or in the attack, rather. So, I mean, it's a lot of things are going on, what to pay attention to at the same time, articulate what you're seeing it.
Yep.
I mean, I've played cricket for a long time, but
Mm-hmm.
again, trying to do commentary is a completely different thing altogether.
It's a different skill set for sure, but if you know the game, and you obviously know the game, it's just a matter of understanding, you put yourself in the mind of, let's say what it was 20 years ago and I'm getting ready to go play CICC right now. What would I be thinking about doing? So objective 1, we need to neutralize Brian Walters.
Yes.
And then you just simply think, okay, if I am in this situation, where do I have my fielders? Why do I have third man there? What do I need mid-wicket to be a little bit straighter? And you simply just rely on your own knowledge, and it simply just comes automatically from that.
Yeah. Short ball that's played towards square leg, deep square leg rather, and they're just motoring along. I don't see any, the big overs that we were hoping.
That's not coming.
Yeah, it's tough when you are 84 for 5.
Exactly.
Nosh and Cornet. Oh, then.
Oh, no.
Cornet. Oh, they missed the run out there. Cornet took off for what was a non-existent run there.
Mm-hmm.
And almost got himself run out. But yes, I mean, cricket has come a long way from when we used to play in the late 90s and the 2000s, right,
Mhm.
Brian? the cricket in our times had its own charm, but now it has gone a lot further than what it was before.
Well, when you and I played, there was one turf wicket here anywhere in the Houston area, and it was that old Unique Cricket Club
Yes, I
behind
remember.
on South Post Oak Road.
Yeah.
Was my home ground for a while. Oh,
And
there's Corny
big
Dry.
one,
How much of it
mid
did he get?
off,
All of
and
it.
clears it.
Let me tell you that one of my memories from playing on that ground was you batting. And I remember very clearly how, obviously most of the cricket in Houston those days was played on AstroTurf wickets. But I remembered how naturally you transferred your game from playing on the concrete to playing on a turf wicket, which told me that you grew up playing on proper wickets as opposed to the artificial stuff that most of us played on.
Yep. I mean, when I came to the US, that was the first time I played on the AstroTurf wicket.
Interesting.
We never had the AstroTurf wickets back home. It's funny because here we think that the AstroTurf wickets are easy to maintain.
Yeah.
But the cost perspective of it is like not good
Sure.
when back home, because concrete and all these cement and everything is
Sure.
way more expensive, right? So, all right.
That's an interesting perspective. I'm going to give you another statistic that you may or may not believe. The first proper cricket bat that I ever owned, I bought in this country. Every other cricket bat, I used to play with anything from a cut up piece of coconut branch or, just something carved out of a piece of wood that I found lying around. We never owned actual proper cricket equipment. An actual cricket ball, holding a real cricket ball it was like Christmas Day if I ever got the chance to do that, because everything else that we used to play with, we played with oranges that we picked off of the trees, or we sometimes made our own balls. If you use like the inner tube of a bicycle tire, we used every innovation to be able to play the sport that you can imagine. And we never really owned real cricket equipment again until I moved here.
I mean, if we're talking about these kind of topics, we'll be here all night. I mean, I can tell you stories after stories about how we shared equipment,
Of course.
right? The club that I joined when I was a youngster back home, they had 2 bats,
Interesting.
maybe 3 pads, so that the person waiting to go in could
You
pad
put a
out, right? And we will throw the cup
Yeah.
on the way out to the new batsman coming in, right? And I tell these youngsters that I coach sometimes that
Yeah.
you guys are privileged,
Oh my God, yes.
right? And you guys are carrying 3 bats.
Yeah.
English willow. I never knew what an English willow bat was until later on,
Yeah.
right? And it is very, like, it has completely changed. These guys they have their own kit bag, like pads, multiple gloves,
Exactly. Glove change.
it's glove chains and all
This one
kinds
is
of, like,
sweaty.
Brian, the example you gave of playing with coconut branches, there's also a legend that goes around about cricket back in the West Indies.
Uh-huh.
And the story said that you produced so many good fast bowlers that 4 horsemen and that entire generation came through because kids used to play cricket at beaches.
Of course.
And you used to bounce the ball on sand, so that used to strengthen your shoulders from a very young age, and that's how you would exert so much pace because there was no other way to play.
You're 100% right. Oh,
And
that's a
that
good looking
is
shot.
launched, but falls short.
Now, something else, because one thing that I also never ever had until I came here was pads, batting pads. So you will not believe this. You've seen me bat. Anything that is close to my body is going this way. I never learned to play on the leg side until after I started playing here, because the natural way of me batting was to stay leg side of the ball so the ball would never hit my knees or my legs. So everything was played through the offside. I never actually learned the proper leg side play until I started playing here.
Yeah, I mean, talking about equipments, right? I still remember one of your, I forgot the name of the gentleman, but one of your Houston West Indies or Combined Islands, CICC, one of those fellows is gone to the woods again.
Good looking shots.
Excellent shot right there.
That's Nosh. Anyway, so fellow
So-
CICC guy.
The bat that he was using looked like he has been using it for almost 30, 40 years.
Yep.
and this big Caribbean dude, would swing it, and if it hits the middle, we get
Gone.
out of the way.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in the way of that shot. If you're in
Mhm.
covers or something like that, you get out of the way. But Nosh plays it towards mid wicket.
My master plan has worked so well. When I invited Roshan in the in the commentary box, seeing that the game is now so subdued,
Yeah.
I thought maybe these two connecting live would take us down on a trip to memory lane, and my master plan just came off to perfection.
Very dastardly plan on your part, Munir.
When he went
I
for
will say I feel used all of a sudden. Oh man, I think, and Roshan and I said this to each other yesterday. I don't remember any of the scores of any of the matches that we ever played against each other, but you have the memories of playing. And that is the most beautiful thing about this entire experience playing cricket in the Houston area, that you form friends for life and you have the memories to live in for the rest of your life.
Absolutely, Brian. And what can we do? Even if we remembered the score, what will we do with those scores right now? I mean, it's if somebody's gonna give me money for that, yeah, then maybe I'll pull out some scores. But
Yeah.
I think Roshan, me, and Brian.
And another six.
Wow.
Nosh.
Look at Nosh.
Brian
Look at
said
Nosh.
some time back that Nosh could hit a couple of sixes. He's done that right.
Oh, sure.
Now the next question is how long he can go on for.
Sure.
Yesterday, me and Brian also took a memory trip down memory lane, and we talked a lot about Memorial Cricket Club and the legacy and the culture we used to brew in this league back then. And one of the memories I have from that time is there used to be a water cooler that was club property, and every week that used to be rotated amongst a certain member. You had to ice it up, put water or stuff in there, and bring it for the entire team. Second thing was there was a manual handwritten scoring book, and
Oh,
that also used to pass in our kit bags.
Oh, yes.
Next week you have to bring it. Next week you have to bring it. It was club-driven culture. Every person, every member used to contribute and make things work.
Yep.
Sometimes I wish I could find one of those old score books, because that would have evidence of the best games I ever played here in Houston. If you look at, crick clubs, you're not going to find any of my records in crick clubs anywhere.
Absolutely.
Or if you find any, it would be maybe the back end of my playing days, maybe the last year or two. Not a whole lot there.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I mentioned to the kids, is that, for us, the thing that happened a week ago, we have already moved on.
Yes.
We never look back and, how many fours I hit, how many runs did I make. We have moved on to the next game, and that's what kept us focused, because kids nowadays have access to cricket clubs, the stats, strike rate. And they barely know how to walk in cricket. I mean, they're looking at all these things, and probably, I don't know, sometimes I feel we should shut off like cricket clubs for kids. And
Oh, good piece of fielding. That was not easy.
he almost
that throw
overran
too.
that one.
My goodness. That throw went on the fly all the way into the keeper's gloves from, 75 yards plus almost a 100-yard throw. That was not easy. Bang.
Nosh
That's gonna be
again.
6. No, it's going to catch.
Fielder gets
Well
underneath it, and
done.
just before the mid-wicket boundary, he takes it.
That is a great catch. Very, very well judged catch. And he focused and absolutely kept his concentration. And also, not only did he have to catch that, he had to make sure that he didn't step on the ropes at deep mid-wicket. Expert catch. In the grand scheme of things, doesn't make a big difference because I think only one team is going to win this match. But still a good piece of work.
Yeah, talking about going down memory lane, I mean, I ran into Taha Sayed yesterday. And, you know, when I first saw him, he was a medium pacer, right?
I said that earlier.
And he was talking to me that, and he played with me in Triggers Cricket Club for a few years, and he told me that in one of those years, that's when he switched to the, what you would call it, the flick, leg break kind of bowling.
Yep.
And he told his captain that, hey, I'll try this for a couple of overs and see how it goes. And after bowling those few overs, the captain said that from now onwards, you keep doing this only. So a lot of memories. I mean, you know, Houston cricket has given me a lot of memories, a lot of friends. It's a thriving community right now, and it's going better and better and better in certain cases. So youth cricket, you know, HCL has grown in leaps and bounds in terms of number of teams that's being played. We have tournaments like HPL, Houston Open, junior tournaments, leagues. Everything is going on right now.
So Nitish Kumar is the bowler who just took that wicket. I'm going to go off of something that you just said and ask you about youth cricket and specifically your son Laksh. Tell us about Laksh's game. How similar is he to you? How different is he from you?
After the
Bang,
shot,
that
a
is a big
bang right in the slot, and whoo, that's a long one. That landed almost near the container.
Oh yeah, that's corner dry.
Talking about Lux, I mean, he's 13, and he is different. First of all, he doesn't bowl quick.
Uh-huh. So that obviously differentiates him from you.
Yes, he has turned to off spin,
Okay.
and then he keeps also.
Awesome.
But he's more of a natural keeper rather than a trained one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he loves his cricket. That's what I would say that I'm trying to encourage him to do, is to enjoy it. Where he goes doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as he enjoys the game, then he will be good. So he's a right-handed bat, but wicket keeper, off spinner. I think Harmeet Singh has fixed his off spinning technique
Interesting.
very recently.
Mm-hmm.
So this all happened from he was a medium pacer to start with, and then he switched to off spin, and then Harmeet in a couple of sessions fixed his off spin.
That's
So
fantastic.
yeah, so he plays cricket regularly at the junior level. But apart from that, you know, he's just enjoying his cricket.
I've found that the hardest thing for me to do when my sons played cricket, really my younger son, my older son didn't really like it that much. My younger son absolutely loves it. For a while, he was playing both cricket and soccer. I found the most difficult thing for me to do was to be a spectator when my son was batting. I every once in a while, you know, if you're playing in a big game, I'm playing against, you know, Triggers this coming weekend, there's sort of a nervous excitement, but there's not like a heart-pounding nervousness that you feel if you're going to go play yourself. If your son is walking out to bat and you see the fast bowler limbering up, you start feeling the most helpless of feelings that you could ever imagine. And I've found that it's so much easier to be a soccer parent than it is to be a cricket parent.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, to add on top of it, last couple of years I've coached the team that Lux has been in, and that adds an extra pressure on you,
Yes.
both as a coach and as a parent. But coaching, what I've learned is that you learn more than you teach.
Yes. So going back to our conversations earlier, I happened to have missed several comments from Yogesh. Yogesh said, I remember my early days in Houston. We used to cut grass with turf cutters and roll it with small manual rollers on Saturday afternoon and play on Sunday. Then we got a full jute matting. The hardest part was taking that matting home after it soaked in rain on top of his old Chevy Impala. And then one thing that Yogesh says that is absolutely true. HICC always had 2 coolers at the ground, one full of water and Gatorades and one with our favorite cold beers.
I'll I'll add a story from 10 years ago
All right.
that ties into that last comment from Yogesh Kaka. I think probably my second or third season when MCC was alive and kicking.
Yep.
The league, the 40-over season used to be played in home and away format, which I don't know if it's still the case because back in the days, each club used to have its own home ground, which they would maintain.
Yep.
MCC's home ground was at that Paul Rushing Park. Just recently, we had lost the Tomball Fields.
I mean, Tom Bass.
Tom Bask.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go to play, when we went to play at Sardar Patel, there was a tradition of serving lunch to the team you're hosting.
Yes.
A lot of teams used to get catering done. We used to get Subways shipped out. There was a cab driver who used to bring Subways. Something I noticed about HICC and the culture, they had a tin shed at that ground.
I remember.
We were batting, and there was a fielder, I think his name is Shilu Bhai. He's been one of the legends of the club. Roshan knows where I'm going with this. Over number first ends, Shilu runs into the tin shed, turns on the flame, saucepan goes up on the flame, runs back and starts fielding. By the time the oil and the butter has melted, he runs back, chops onions. In the next over break, tosses it, turns the flame down, goes back on the field. Over number 3 ends, in go the spices and the cumin. Over number 4, the potatoes come out and the tomatoes come out. Over number 5, he washes the rice and puts that on a separate pot.
That
By the
is
time the
outstanding.
innings was done, lunch was ready for
Full-blown meal.
25 people. Sumptuous lunch, delicious food. We all ate as much as we can. We lost the game because we ate too much. The return fixture, HICC come to Paul Rushing Park. As usual, the people we ordered Subways.
Sure.
And that didn't go down well with Kuldeep or
Yes,
any
Kuldeep.
of the folks from HICC. So next time when the return fixture happened, we ordered curries, we ordered naans, we ordered rice and a dessert, and that went down well. So this is the kind of culture we used to brew in Houston Cricket League. It wasn't just about cricket. It was family-centered. It was community-centered. It was all about camaraderie and friendship.
I will say without a doubt that the club that most provided hospitality when you played against them was HICC, which is ironic because they are also the most ruthless. That's a good catch taken in the outfield. By the way, there's still a game going on here. But they were still also the most ruthless club to ever play against. They were brutal batters. I still have nightmares. I wake up from bowling to Digesh. You remember Digesh?
Yes, Digesh Patel.
Yes. I still have horrible memories remembering bowling to Digesh, bowling to every single one of that top 5 was extremely difficult. But as soon as they finished smoking you on the field, they'd immediately lead you over to the shed and you'd have lunch. And that was one of the things that I enjoyed most about playing against HICC. So, what's the score in this game, by the way?
Talking about Taha, here he comes.
Taha.
In
all
the
right.
middle. Our favorite Taha Syed is in the middle.
Cometh the hour, cometh the man.
And one of the chants we used to make when he comes on the crease is Taha, aha.
Okay.
HICC also, Brian and Roshan had been about getting support, getting community engagement. Whenever they're playing a big championship final or semi-final, you would find at least 50 people, 20 different cars pulled outside that Sardar
Interesting.
Patel Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
No other club could build that kind of fan following back in the days, which I think they still continue to do. That was also something very unique about Houston India Cricket Club.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Cornet smashes it straight down the ground for 4. Yes, I mean, HICC, I mean, they were a team that we always looked forward to playing against.
Yep.
For many reasons. You know, some of the reasons you guys have mentioned, but like Munir said, it's the fan following that would add that extra pressure whenever you try to perform against them.
Mm-hmm.
And off the edge, and Taha makes his ground at the striker's end. So, and they would be rowdy. I mean, the HICC folks would be rowdy.
No question.
And winning against them gave us that extra, I would say, satisfaction because of that. Because you are not just up against the 11 players on the field, but you're also trying to overcome all the yelling with a little bit of, with a couple of cold ones down their throat.
Yep.
It even gets weirder. And then Yogesh Kaka was online, so Yogesh Kaka's, comments whenever somebody comes on to bowl from the opposition, and he keeps yelling. Smashes it on the bounce for a single. I mean, as I said, if we keep talking about memories, we can keep going on for
This
hours and hours.
conversation
Right.
can go on until the final starts tomorrow morning. By the way, what time is the final tomorrow? 1:30 tomorrow is the final. Make plans if you are in the Houston area, as this is lofted deep to mid-wicket. What a diving
Ooh.
attempt. Look at this. That effort in the field is something to behold. Ball goes for 4, but you would think that this was a game that was coming down to the wire based on that effort. But if you are anywhere near the city of Prairie View, Texas tomorrow and feel like coming down to watch what is going to be a scintillating final, please make your way here. And if you're not able to physically be here, join us online tomorrow afternoon. Let's say probably toss at 1 o'clock, Munir, and the match starts at 1:30. Opening ceremony. We'll talk more about that afterward. Oh, goodness. So we're just waiting to see what the final score is going to be here. Did Yogesh respond? Yeah. So 2 comments, one from Yogesh. Those are the great memories, guys, and we cherish that. And our club is not just a cricket club. We are a family, and I still believe that's the reason why we won the championships. I agree with you, Yogesh. I'm embarrassed to answer the next question. Sana wants to know, have the PV grounds put in better seating for audiences yet? The answer to that question is, if you have the ability to bring your own chairs, Sana, we'd be more than happy to accommodate you. Permanent seating has not yet made it into the lexicon of this place.
PVCC is still a BYOC. Bring your own chair.
Look at that shot. That's a healthy looking stroke there by Corner Dry. Yep. Actually didn't follow the ball off the bat, so I didn't see exactly where it went.
When
But it looked, he held the post for a while, so I assume it went far. So trickling all the way down here, it's 5:32. It's getting dark outside, and in fact, with regard to the game, 17 overs are up, 147 for 7. So somehow the Stars need to manufacture a way to score 79 runs in 3 overs.
Brian, still mathematically possible.
It absolutely is still math. You can score 100 runs in 1 over mathematically, easily. You'd want to shoot the bowler in the leg if that were the case, but but the more likely occurrence is that this is going to be a heavy defeat, and the Stallions X are going to end up in the finals tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a pretty straightforward victory. And Yogesh will be here for the finals tomorrow afternoon. Yogesh, we absolutely look forward to seeing you.
Cheers.
Why are you telling me cheers when we're drinking coffee? So apparently we just missed something on the field. What did we miss?
We
Oh,
Taha,
huge hits. Taha.
Taha is
Going
out.
downtown. That is a good looking stroke by Taha.
Hey.
It's okay. It's liquor.
So after that brief break, we are back. And we're waiting to see what the final score is going to be. The score is 147 for 8.
What is this?
Corner dry.
You're making me fat.
Playing a lone hand here. 41 from 23. 2 4s and 3 6s. And Arham Khan is coming to the wicket for the first time. The small matter of another 79 runs from 2.3 overs. The required rate is now 31.6 runs per over. And as Roshan will tell you, that is still mathematically possible.
Just every ball sixes.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a quiz. Since we're talking quizzes, here's a quiz for both of you. The first 2 balls of a match are bowled. After 2 deliveries in that match, the score is 8 without loss, and each opening batter has 4. How does that work?
I'm going to ask ChatGPT.
I'm not even sure what that means, but I'm relying on your cricket knowledge and your breadth of experience. 2 deliveries in the match. After 2 deliveries, the score is 8 without loss, and each opening batter has 4 runs.
So did you ask that question to Mangesh?
Mangesh wouldn't be able to answer that question, I don't think.
He's escaping.
First 2 balls of a match.
Oh, what a catch at point. And
2 balls bowled. At the end of 2 balls, the score is 8 without loss. Each opening batter has 4 runs. Tell me how.
Just an update on the match.
Yes, please go ahead. While Mangesh thinks about the answer to that question, yes, what's the update?
The update is that the match is over.
Oh, is that?
My mathematics, even though it was possible, is not possible anymore.
Okay. You should answer that question.
No, you're gonna go home and research it now, aren't you? Well, what we thought was an eventuality from probably an hour and a half ago now finally becomes a reality. And the final score is that the Stallions X won by 77 runs. So I'm going to be taking a quick break from my standpoint. Maybe Roshan will give us a bit of an update as to what happened the rest of the way. And I'll be conducting an interview shortly.